Hello and welcome to the 73rd episode of the DCP, brought to you by Scuff Gaming Controllers, and this week Casper Mattress. Casper Mattress as our sponsor.
Casper.
More about them a little bit later on in the show. Let's see. This week we'd like to welcome on the one and only Jack Pattillo. I hope I pronounced that one correctly.
That is close enough.
Close enough. Nailed it.
You know what, Jack? I was really, shocked that you responded that you're going to come on. I can't tell you like how much of my Halo days and time on YouTube is spent watching you do what, the crazy stuff you do on Achievement Hunters. So just thank you very much for agreeing to come on to our little show.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. I mean, like we always say, our community is like the biggest asset that Rooster Teeth has, and we wouldn't be here without the people who watch us. So no matter who you are, if you're out there, if you watch any Rooster Teeth content, any Achievement Hunter content, anything we do, you are the reason why we're doing what we do. And so if you're happen to be like a massive podcaster like you guys, or someone who sits in a college dorm room, or someone in middle school watching whatever, doesn't matter. We love each and every one of the people who watch us, and so we're gonna go out of our way to make sure everyone's taken care of. And it's a pleasure to be on your show, and I thank you very much. And it's anything we do to talk about video games, I'm always up for that. So thank you for having me on, and I appreciate it. And a lot of our fans were like, hey, like you went out and you were like, hey, who can we get on our podcast? Yeah. And a bunch of people were like, oh, Jack, you should get Jack on there, someone from Achievement Hunter. And here I am. So there you go. That's your community kicking ass.
And that's how it starts. I mean, I float out I floated out to our community and say, hey, who do you want us to get in? And it's really awesome when we can connect with people in the greater gaming community. But you've done it's like, let's talk about like a little bit about your history with Rooster Teeth. You've been doing this for a while.
Long time.
Yeah, I'm actually coming up on 8.5 years with Rooster Teeth right now.
Yeah,
full time. Nice. That's probably about 10 years or so. I mean,
we actually turned 10 in July. July 28th is our 10th anniversary. So we've been doing this for quite a long time. And so, but yeah, me full time at Rooster Teeth. I've been working there 9 years, December 1st. And so,
wow.
Yeah, awesome. I've been doing this stuff for a long time. I really love it. I mean, I'm very, very fortunate to be where I am now. And, yeah, I wouldn't trade this for the world. It's amazing. The community that we have, that we built up, is just outstanding. I mean, every time I meet people, I'm blown away by how awesome, how nice everyone is. And I mean, it gets me the opportunities to do stuff like this, where it's like, hey, I got to meet some, a group of fans that kind of like exist in a different kind of sphere from where we normally are, and I get to talk to some new people. And I mean, I've been all over the planet because of Rooster Teeth, and I'm just absolutely very, very fortunate to be where I am now. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I still, even though I can't really explain what I do to my extended family, I still love every single moment of it. It's the best thing ever. And so getting to play video games and talk about video games for a living, I mean, that's incredible. And I have no idea what I'd be doing without this, but I'm very, very happy where I am right now. So thank you for having me on again. And thank you for, anyone who watches the stuff that we do. I mean, you're the reason why we're here. So thank you. So cool.
It's obvious that you guys are hugely connected to your fan base and the stuff that you do. You see it in your videos you do, but also in the stuff that you do outside. Can you talk to us a little bit about like your work with Extra Life and how that got started?
Yeah. So Extra Life is the charity that we support at Rooster Teeth, or one of the charities we support at Rooster Teeth, I should say. It's a super, super kick-ass charity. They support Children's Miracle Networks, which is an awesome. So Children's Miracle Network, if you live in a major city, there's a good chance there is a Children's Miracle Network hospital in your city. And part of the cool part of Extra Life is kind of like any sort of like walkathon or any sort of marathon type charity type stuff you would see. The way Extra Life works is we play video games, or really just games, for 24 hours straight. And you raise money, like, if you do a walkathon, like if I walk X number of miles, you'll donate X amount of money. We play video games for 24 hours, and we raise money for our hospital, for Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And the cool thing is, you can join Team Rooster Teeth from wherever you are. And if you have a Children's Miracle Network hospital near you, you can actually select it where any money you raise will go to your local hospital. So we are based in Austin, Texas. So we have Dell Children's Hospital in Austin, which is about 4 blocks away from where our office is.
Yeah.
And over the past couple of years, we've raised about $3 million for that charity, for Dell Children specifically. This past year, we raised $1.2 million in 24 hours, which is overwhelming. And so it's super, super amazing. And it's just like the idea of raising $1 million in 24 hours for a local charity is just incredible. And again, that goes back to our community. Our communities are the people who make this happen. And we couldn't, be happier with it. I mean, like everyone who helps support the, Extra Life charity, either through direct donations directly to extra-life.org, or buying a t-shirt or some pin sets or a poster that the Rooster Teeth donation goes to. Like, we don't make any money off any of the stuff that we sell during Extra Life. The donations from anything we sell based on Extra Life goes directly to Extra Life. So we do not profit off anything like that. All of that's incredible, and it's super, super amazing. And now even Dell Children's is actually naming a brand new healing garden off of Rooster Teeth. So we have naming rights to a healing garden. So it's going to be the Rooster Teeth Healing Garden, which is part of a new mental health facility they're building, which is just absolutely awesome.
That's amazing.
That's awesome. It's super special to me, and especially Katie, my wife. She pushes the mental health stuff so much. She's amazing, and she is definitely my inspiration and my muse. And so when they were talking to us, because we'd been raising a lot of money for Dell, and they were like, hey, we have a couple things we're working on right now. One of which is this new cardiac facility. We're working on heart treatments and stuff. And we're spending a lot of money on a lot of new equipment. And also we have this mental health thing, but really the heart, and we're like, wait, what, mental health? What? And so, and we were very much focused on that. And so the chance for us to really support mental health and younger people. I mean, realize anyone below the age of 18, any way we can support mental health and mental health issues, and sort of really kind of, casting a light on what people are going through. Because there's a lot of kids, they might be dealing with stuff they don't understand. That's like, oh, no, that's a health problem. That's not a weird, odd thing. Lots of people go through this, and it should be treated, as such, as this is a problem. This is a disease. This is a medical issue, not a you're weird, you're strange. No, this is something that a lot of people go through, and there are help for it. There is help for it. And so any way we can kind of help spread the message and spread the word, and that mental health is not a bad problem. Mental health is not an issue that you should be ashamed of. And mental health is not something that you need to hide from. It's something that you should talk about, and we should, get out into the open and not make it as such a hidden issue that you see a lot of times.
Or taboo.
And, a lot of boogeymen kind of, exactly, taboo. It's a lot of people blame a lot of stuff on mental health, but it's lots and lots of people go through mental health problems in some form or fashion. And so to treat it as such a bad thing is we shouldn't be doing that. And so Dell Children's is working with kids, and they're trying to really kind of end the stigma of what mental health problems are. And we're so proud to support that. And anything we can do to help is always it's the least we can do. And so but anyway, I could rattle on and on and on about
I just want you to know that you're in 2013 when you started this. That was your first. First Extra Life stream. Your first
second, technically.
It was the second one. I just remember hearing about that one. There was just It was just, how did that get started? Was it just an idea that did they approach you, or did you? Because if I remember that correctly, that stream you raised some crazy amount of money for the first time. It was over $300,000.
So the very first time we did it, it was actually so Jeff and I, Jeff, who the co-creator, or really the creator of Achievement Hunter, the two of us streamed from our office, back in 2007, I think, maybe 2008. And we basically sat in our office and we streamed for 24 hours, and we raised, I think, $25,000. Then we took a year off, and then we came back, and that next year we raised, I think, $170,000 or $180,000. That was the first big year we did it, and it was a thing where it was we'd heard about Extra Life, we'd done it, a couple of years prior, and it was let's try this again. And by the time we'd kind of got to the point where we could do this big broadcast, we actually had a facility that was doing live podcast, and actually a broadcast portion of Rooster Teeth. And so we had a lot of people behind it, and they were like, oh, we can set this up, make it look nice. And it's funny because when we did that one, I guess 5 or 6 years ago, the first big one we did, it was literally Katie, myself, and our intern at the time, this guy named Blaine, who's now one of our main directors in the company. And it was the three of us, and we had a little iPad that had it had all the controls for the cameras on the iPad. And we went for about 10 minutes, and then we're like, oh, we're still private right now on YouTube. We're not public at all right now. And so then we pushed it live, and we're like, oh, now we can start. Okay, here we go. And so it's funny going from that, where it's literally 3 people in the whole building for the first like 2 hours of it, to I think when we did it this year, we had 30 people.
Wow.
To start the podcast, and at some points it spiked up to about 100 people in the building. Wow. And it's pretty nuts how far we've come.
We take so much inspiration from the work that you guys have done. My first charity live stream, when I founded a clan when I first started playing Destiny. It was actually before Destiny came out. It was Dads of Destiny, and we were sitting there brainstorming. We wanted to get something that we could get the Dads of Destiny, which was a clan of over 60,000 people, behind a charity. And so we jumped on what you were doing with Extra Life, and we picked Seattle Children's Hospital because Bungie was in Seattle. And I remember the feeling of being able to raise, to know exactly what we were raising money for the clean carts. In the intense cancer in the intensive care ward. And I remember at the end of it knowing that I had raised enough money to buy a clean cart for their and it got me hooked on doing that kind of work. And ever since then, I mean, even with this podcast and the Destiny community as a whole, with the work we're doing with St. Jude's now, it's just a great community gathering place, right? Where you can look to a different thing that is outside of gaming and know that you're helping and supporting other people. And I just, I just think of all the people that you've inspired by, get in the gaming community to also do this and be a part of it. It's just, it's great. Did you, so what, let me ask you, like, what is your favorite part of doing, for those that don't know what Achievement Hunter is, like, how did this start? Like, what keeps you going with it? Because you guys have been producing achievement videos for 8 years now, right? So
it'll be 10 years in July.
10 years in July. So what keeps you going? What started all this?
So real quick, let me jump back into talking about Extra Life. I just want to say, like, we've become friends with the people who run Extra Life now.
Yeah.
And they say, so every time they have what that are called guilds, which they go to different major cities around the country, or cities that have enough people to support Extra Life, and like, hey, we're going to put together this thing where it's like you can meet other people working Extra Life in your community, in your local area. And they've told me now that when they go to these communities, about probably 95% of the time they say, what made you want to get an Extra Life? And at least one person will say Rooster Teeth is what made me want to get an Extra Life. And that to me is like the most incredible thing. Like that to me is like, wow, what we're doing is spreading. And this positive outreach is spreading to other parts of the country. And that makes me feel super, super special. Yeah. So if you are watching right now and you've been a part of Extra Life because of Rooster Teeth, that means the world to me. So thank you very, very much for that. As far as how Achievement Hunter started, so Jeff Ramsey, who's been around with Rooster Teeth, he's employee number 1 or 2, depending on who you're talking to, full-time employee number 1 or 2. I started doing so the long of it was I was writing for a website called Ain't It Cool News, covering video games covering video games and some movies and stuff. And I was writing for them, and I became friends with a couple of guys who wrote for the site, and one of which was a buddy who wrote who knew all the guys at Rooster Teeth. And he said, hey, when they're not doing Red versus Blue, like when they're off season of Red versus Blue, they're looking for more content. So why don't you talk to them? And so I met Bernie and Joel, who were 2 of the co-creators, at a poker game, actually. And Bernie took like an $80 pot for me and just ruined my night. But other than that, I met him, and they were like, oh, yeah, we've read some of your stuff. If you have any ideas that you want to pitch to us, just pitch us some ideas. And I was like, okay. So I wrote a few things out. I wrote about 5 or 6 things out. Went to lunch with, I think, Gus, Bernie, Matt, and Jeff, and pitched them these ideas. And they bought a few of them, and that was pretty cool. And so I got to start writing for roosterteeth.com. So, Red versus Blue is only, like around that time was about 20 episodes a season, 22 episodes a season. So half the year they had no new content on roosterteeth.com. And then so they needed more stuff for it. So I started writing some stuff. And so you'd come like once a week and you'd see my stuff and a few other people's who were writing for him. And then I became friends with Jeff Ramsey, and he started doing this achievement race with Bernie. The two of them started doing an achievement race, and then he was like, I really like this achievement stuff. He took me out to dinner one night, and he's like, I have this idea. It's like Game Facts, which was a text-based tutorial site. It's like Game Facts, except it has video and sort of the Rooster Teeth personality, where it'll be like kind of comedic, but still informative, but be all video instead of text. And he's like, yeah, what do you think of that? I'm like, that sounds awesome. And then 3 months later, we had Achievement Hunter up and running. So that was cool. 3 months of us, basically coding in the website and manually typing out every achievement for Xbox, every Xbox 360 game that was out at that point, copying and pasting all of the icons.
I can't tell you how many times. I'm a completionist when it comes to games, and I can't tell you how much time I spent on your website, like following the tutorials and like, I remember was it your first one, the Burnout Paradise?
The very first video we ever made was a Millionaires Club video in Burnout Paradise, which is going a million stunt points. I forget what they're called.
Yeah, yeah.
Burnout Paradise.
I remember watching that one, like literally just rewinding it, trying to get the jumps right. And you're just so casual. You're just like, oh, you just hit this jump, and I was like, damn it, I can't do it.
Well, it's funny because that was sort of that was the very first achievement guide we ever did, was in Millionaires Club in Burnout Paradise. And a few months prior to us releasing that, we had the idea of Achievement Hunter was kind of floating around. And I went out to Electronic Arts, out to EA in Redwood Shores in California, just south of San Francisco. And I went out there for for Ain't It Cool News to cover some video game stuff. And they were like, oh, we're doing this Burnout Paradise Community Day. Do you want to come out? And so I came out there, and then I met a bunch of the devs, and they were like, oh yeah, if you want to get Millionaires Club achievement, this is how you do it. And I was like, oh, cool. I'm actually writing for this other new website that's not out yet, but we're working on it, called Achievement Hunter. Like, oh yeah, cool. Try, do this line. And so they showed me how to get it. And then that ended up being the very first achievement guide we ever did, which is just freaking surreal. And they just announced a couple days ago that Burnout Paradise Remastered is coming out next month.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I was going to ask you how you felt about that. Is there going to be some videos on going back to that?
We might do some kind of throwback to some achievement guides in it and whatnot. Yeah. But I mean, that game has a special place in my heart, and I think it has a special place in Jeff's heart. But I think the other guys are kind of like they're not as big of fans of that game. Like for the first 6 or 7 years, every anniversary we'd go back and play it. But I think now we've kind of they've sort of hit the point where they're just tired of that game, and I'm like, all right, fine. So I'll probably end up playing it on my own Twitch channel and maybe do a couple guides in it and stuff. But yeah, it's kind of cool to see it's the 10th anniversary of Burnout. I think it came out in January of 2008. So January or February of 2008. Yeah. And so it's the 10th anniversary of that, and it's coming back getting remastered. And it's sort of nice that it kind of wraps around to the 10th anniversry of Achievement Hunter as well. So we'll do something in it. I can't promise anything big, but yeah, that's that game. Again, that game has a special place in my heart because that was sort of the beginning of it all. And so I'm very, very happy to be around. I mean, you guys have been on the internet for a while. You know that internet sites don't exist very long, and they kind of come and go. So the idea of being around with Achievement Hunter for a decade, let alone Rooster Teeth's been around for 15 years in April. So I mean that's. Wow. Pretty special. And so Rooster Teeth's been around longer than YouTube, which is pretty cool. And so so the fact we're still here, still kicking, we've sort of transformed from what achievement guides and tutorials to more of a let's play style, kind of podcastish style network. But we're very, very happy to do what we do.
It's cool. And
you've been branching out to some live stuff too, right? Some live streams.
Yeah. So we do live stream,
actual live stuff too.
Yeah. we do live streams every Wednesday on our channel on Achievement Hunter, youtube.com/Achievement Hunter, and then and we're also working with Ubisoft now. We do some Ubisoft live streams that we're working on, and also Let's Play Live, which is my baby, which is us playing video games on massive stages all across the U.S. And we started in Austin, was the first one, and then we did Los Angeles, Chicago, New York over the course of 5 months, and then we did a tour last year where we did New Jersey, Baltimore, Orlando, and Tampa it was 4 shows over 7 days, and that was probably one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life. Like getting to literally play video games on stage and then leave that and get on a tour bus to then go to another city.
You
and
feel
do
like
it
a rock
again.
star?
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny you say that because when so Katie, my wife, she actually at RTX, our convention we'd have in Austin every summer. She took a photo from the stage of RTX of a massive group of people waiting for us to come up to play Grand Theft Auto. And so she took this panoramic photo of literally like 2,000 people standing waiting to watch us play Grand Theft Auto. And then I saw that photo and I was like, oh my God, it's like, who gets to go on stage and do this kind of stuff in front of a crowd? And I'm like, rock stars, rock stars going to do this kind of stuff. Yeah. And I was like, well, what do rock stars do that we don't do? And it's like, they tour. Yeah, they tour. They play different concert venues. They tour around the country. And it's like, why can't we do that? And so I drew up this horrible PowerPoint pitch, and I pitched it to first Jeff, who is the creator of Achievement Hunter, and he was actually a roadie for a bunch of punk bands back in the early '90s, the late '80s. And he was like, 100%, I'm down to tour. That would be awesome. I would love to do that. And then I pitched to our sales department. I'm like, do you think we could make any money off this? Is this something feasible? And they're like, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Then I pitched it to the CEO with the two of them with me. And he was like, this sounds really cool. Like, this sounds like this is something we would do. And I'm like, 100%. And then about 4 months later, we did the first show, sold it out in Austin at the Austin City Limits Theater, where, like massive real acts get to play. And it was incredible and one of the most amazing kind of like stressful, amazing moments of my life. And then now we've gotten to do 8 shows total. And I can't say enough. I love playing to a crowd and actually being able to make jokes and hear an audience respond as opposed. I mean, I love what I do. Don't get me wrong. When I'm sitting in a room with, 8 other people and, you make a joke and one person laughs, it's like, oh, okay, I guess they like that. Whereas like if you make a joke in a show like that and it's like 1,000 people laugh, it's like, oh, okay, I guess this is working. And then, so it's a little different making, a room full of people laugh and seeing like little YouTube numbers as they count up as opposed to seeing a whole audience laugh and
Absolutely.
Like getting to do cool stuff in front of an audience. So I love it. I love Let's Play Live.
I watched the RT doc on that when that first came out. And that just seemed like, I don't know, like just such the next logical step. And we do live streaming because we can't like, play games in front of people, I guess. And then YouTube videos, but yeah, no, it seems like a format that actually works with everything too. I mean, esports already do it, so why can't Let's Players?
It's true.
Yeah, no, not 100%. Yeah. I mean, that was the thing. It was like, we did the first Let's Play Live, and it was interesting to see how quickly other groups started doing similar things after we did that. We saw like Kind of Funny Live before the Kind of Funny guys joined us, and we're seeing Game Grumps Live and Markiplier's doing a live show, and it's like we're seeing more and more of this stuff, and it's
That's
like
right.
I'd like to
think something too, yeah.
Yeah, Funhouse did a live show too, which from what I hear was incredible, and it's like you're seeing more and more stuff like that. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, like people are seeing. It's kind of this weird sort of reverse of what people are used to, because like everyone like sits in their offices or sits in the room, makes content for the internet in front of a webcam, but it's like doing that where like people have to get together and actually go to a venue. It's a total different experience, but it's just really a really old experience, but we're kind of bringing it back for the modern age. So it's
also
super awesome.
You have to be on time.
Really cool.
For that.
yeah, that helps.
People show up and they sit down.
Do you have to wear pants?
For sure, have to be on time for that one.
Do you have to wear pants? I mean, can you be naked from the waist down? Because that's going to really affect my, decision to go tour.
Yeah.
I mean, it really depends on if you get up from a desk, So.
You could just have a desk where and you just never move.
True.
That could work out.
So it's kind of crazy. I watch you guys, and you're in your studio and you're interacting the members of Achievement Hunter, and it really sort of reminds me of like this the way that I feel with these guys on this podcast. It's just this, that concept of like that fire team or that group of people, the raid team or whatever you want to say, like that group of people that gets together to play and then just talks, just jokes
Friends.
Around and
Friends.
What is that word?
Friends.
Friendship?
Friends? No. So it's just really it's a great feeling to be, and you feel like you're a part of that. That's something that we've tried to emulate here and really include our audience. And it's work that you guys have done a lot of over the years to make video games more I don't want to say mainstream, but
accessible?
Yeah,
accessible.
I'd say accessible.
And
accessible is a good keyword, yeah.
Yeah. And so, it's just, the evolution from over the last 10 years has been crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's been nuts. Like Rooster Teeth in particular has been sort of on the, I don't want to say the bleeding edge, but we've definitely been kind of riding the wave of this new media content. Like I honestly, I would say it started with like College Humor back in the day. Like we were watching what those guys were doing, and now we're kind of doing very similar things. But I mean, when I started, we were doing, at that time it was Red versus Blue. We had just started the podcast, the RT podcast, and then we were doing commercial work. So really, if you saw any GameStop video from, a decade ago that included actual gameplay, chances are we probably made it at Rooster Teeth. And then to where we are now, where we have a full-blown, broadcast department that does live shows every single day of the week. Yeah. A short department where we make live action shorts, that come out all the time. A full-blown movie department where we've made 3 full-length movies. And then on top of that, we still have Achievement Hunter, and we have the Let's Play department, which has groups all over, California really awesome. And all over the place. It's like we've just expanded and kind of we've been careful about it when we grow, but we definitely kind of have put eggs in many, many different baskets now.
Well, just mark it right here, Jack, that DCP will be it's a name you'll hear. Not in 10 years from now, we'll be having we'll have stadiums filled with people.
There you go.
Hell
yeah.
I'm just saying.
And I'll be there cheering you guys on.
Awesome, man. You're that's great.
We'll pay for your play.
Well, thank you very much for coming on. We're gonna jump into the news of Destiny and talk a lot about our experiences and what's going on this week with Destiny. They have a thing
real quick. Just because if you listen to the show every single week, our opinions on the game. Jack, I as someone who we've seen you play the game on Achievement Hunter. You still playing? What do you think of it? Just get some hot takes.
Yeah.
So Destiny 1 was incredible. The sort of the community aspect, the multiplayer aspect, the raids in Destiny 1 were some of the best content I think we ever made at Achievement Hunter. Having 6 people working together towards a common goal, which it was absolutely incredible on a console, which you don't really see very often. And there's 6 of us at Achievement Hunter, so or at least there were 6 of us. Now there's more than that, but I mean at the time it was 6 of us playing together for a common goal. Loved every moment of it. Destiny was incredible. Destiny 2 had a lot of promise. I think having the I don't understand the reason for pushing PC 2 months out from launch. That seemed a little odd to me. But then it just seemed kind of like I don't know if the support wasn't there, but it felt like sort of the tone of Destiny 2 was so much different than the first one. And it was kind of like we played it, we did the first raid and done. It didn't feel like there was a lot of let's come back to it and keep playing more of it. And that's sad. I really like playing Destiny. I love anything PvE. So the idea of doing raids and doing all that stuff, that was super awesome to me. But now we're it's 6 months from launch, maybe more. When did it come out? When was
September?
Destiny September. So we're 6 months, almost more than 6 months, half a year from launch, and there's been no major raid drops or anything like that. Nothing. They've done raid layers, which is kind of we're just gonna take what we have and add a little bit to it. But it's I want more meat to the story. And it's the trailers and everything that came out and the story, when the game first came out, I was wow, the first 3 hours of playing the game was holy crap, this right. There's a story to this game finally, oh, this is awesome. And it's Cade and all these guys, they're all, this is important. And it's and then it sort of dropped off. And I was oh, well, all right, I guess maybe there'll be more. And this feels nothing's been supported. And it was all the stuff with Eververse and the whole microtransactions and, Activision versus Bungie. And is Bungie sabotaging their own game for whatever reason? There's a lot of weird conspiracy theories. And it's kind of what? I don't know. But it sounds like the Crimson Days stuff. I missed it. I didn't play any of it this year, but it sounds like they're kind of getting back on their feet, which I hope is the case. And I would like to see that. I mean, I love the game. I'd love to see more of it. I'd love to see it kind of come back around. But it just seemed to me like Destiny 1 ended so well as far as making everything work really well together. All the raids, all the PvE, the PvP all worked so well. And then they just kind of wiped all that off and started new and fresh in Destiny 2. And it's just give us more of what you had. That was so good. You got to a point where it was so good. And then you kind of went, we're just going to try something entirely.
There's a lot of people that talk about how that production timeline of when Destiny 2 came out and by the time they got things right in Destiny 1, Destiny 2 was already well in development.
Yeah.
And they couldn't make the corrections or changes that they had realized in Destiny 1. And I think a lot of people are worried that it's Groundhog Day, and we're in Destiny 2, and it feels like it. And I have no doubt the live team will create a game that we like to play. But at what point and at what sacrifice are we going to then just do it again, where the game that they're already making is not going to have
those
and how
long
corrections.
It's taking too.
Right. And so it just feels like we're in this cycle. It's a vicious cycle right now, and I don't know how they get out of it.
Just give me SRL. Just make SRL full time. That's all I care about.
Every weekend, SRL.
What did you enjoy? Yeah, Sparrow Racing League was your thing.
I'm so crap at actual like PvP stuff. Like I'm so bad at that. But when it comes to racing, I'm like, okay, this is something I can figure out. No one's shooting at me. I'm just racing a Sparrow, and it's like that to me. That was my most of all the PvP stuff. That was my favorite PvP stuff. And I'm like, oh my god, I might get some like PvP like bounties and stuff this week because I could win some of these races. But when it comes to like jump into Rumble or something, it's like no, I'm not gonna. I'll get maybe a couple kills, but I mean. Yeah, I'm nowhere near as good. And then even like when it jumps over to PC, like PC mouse and keyboard, I'm a little bit better at, but everyone else is so much better than I am. So jumping back to like SRL, it's like okay, here we go, Sparrow. Like this is fun. I really like doing this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I would love to see that become more of a permanent fixture. But unfortunately, it's kind of one of those. Let's drop it for a month and then pull it. And it's like,
how'd you feel about it seemed really simple, really easy, and to get the achievements in Destiny 2. It just seemed like there was not a whole lot of them. What are your? Did you guys experience the same thing?
Oddly enough, achievements and for Achievement Hunter have become less of a priority.
Yeah,
which is when the Xbox 360 came out, achievements were like that was the jam. Like, everyone was into it. But then the Xbox One X the Xbox One came out, and like now everything has achievements. They're all tied to your Xbox account. You can play it on a phone, get achievements, and there's really no sort of like value or any sort of weight to any sort of achievements now. So. But I'm not opposed to I appreciate any game that doesn't do the like, okay, get 1,000 kills with this gun, get 1,000 kills with this gun, and get 1,000 kills. It's like I appreciate that Destiny didn't do that, they didn't go that route.
Well,
but like some of the achievements in Destiny 1 with get like flawless raider and stuff like that. It's like, come on, man! Like how many people are going to beat the raid, and B, how many people are going to beat the raid flawlessly? Like that's
right.
It was easier to do that one solo than it was
different.
going through.
Yeah, like that's super difficult. But I kind of respect that a little bit more than sort of like the sort of generic kill X number of or kill X Y number of times. So
yeah,
you want it to be an actual achievement. Like once you do it, you're like, yes. Just like the jump you were talking about, how you couldn't get it done, but you kept on rewatching the video Pope.
Yeah, that's what I've always appreciated. Like I came from Xbox. That was I spent a long time there, and that's one of the things I'm with you, Jack. Like the achievements in Xbox were so cool, right?
Ones that you hunt for and not just passively do. You
actually had to go out
there
there and try them, man.
Yeah.
You had to really commit to the and you had to there were some that were just basic low level one, but to get the full all the achievements done for a game was to show commitment, and they highlighted that.
I especially like it on PSN when they show what percentage have achieved that trophy.
Yeah,
I think that's really cool. So if you do get one of those like 1% or less than 1% trophies, it's like not many people have gotten that.
You're like, oh, maybe I'm good.
Well, they've kind of done that a little bit with achievements now. But.
Yeah.
I felt like you're right. They made them. I wish they would have made some that were almost unattainable. That would be a challenge, and then you had to,
wipe a team in 6v6.
Wipe a team in 6v6
because it doesn't exist.
There's no P6v6.
No 66 anymore, just 44.
So we talked about the TWAB being a THWAB. When it's not as good as we wish it would have been, Jack, we'd say it's a THWAB.
Yeah.
And it's thwobbing like us. I don't know how this started. And then
it started with you and your intentional mispronunciation of it.
Yes.
Apparently I was mispronouncing it, and but I will not admit it. I will not admit it. It's thwob. But it eventually we had an accord with there was a where we decided if it was a good week, we'd call it a TWAB, and if it was a less than stellar week, we would call it a THWAB. And my vote is THWAB. It was THWABing.
I'd say it's a THWAB. Yeah.
It's THWABby.
I'm taking the middle road here.
Yeah, I'm not so convinced it's that bad, to be honest.
It's not bad.
bad.
Okay, look, the past couple weeks in these weekly updates have just been fucking knocking it out of the park, giving us everything that we ever wanted. Eventually, you're gonna have a week where, not everything, but you know, okay. I oversold it. I'm sorry. You know, we've had some really solid weeks of news and stuff from the TWAB. This week, not so much, but you know,
there's some cool stuff in there, though.
We got some updates to the roadmap. Unfortunately, as roadmaps are, sometimes roadmaps change, and
Let's talk about that.
Let's get into it.
There's some good news. There's some good news and some bad news in the roadmap. So the bad news is that mods got kind of bumped out of it. They're no longer on the roadmap at all. So
this is
with no mention of why.
Yeah, this is really big because this is the thing that I was looking for on this roadmap to be like, okay, this is when an end game build is going to be somewhat viable and interesting again. Like what's happening right now with Monster Hunter. The end game build type of stuff with decorations is next level, and a whole bunch of people from Destiny are playing it because that is something that they want. And Mods 2.0 was the thing that I was like, okay, Mods 2.0, I'm going to be able to get some stuff from various locations, Nessus, the raids, so on and so forth, be able to make a really cool Destiny build and be like, this is my build, check it out. And it's difficult to get because you have to have RNG drops and so on and so forth. And now they pushed it completely off the list. They said it's off. They said that they have to push it off the list past May and no ETA when it's going to show up.
May.
So that's the risk they take, though, right? That's the risk they took when they started doing these roadmaps. You know, what was it, 2 months ago, right? And they warned us that this is our roadmap. We're sharing this publicly. It is not concrete. Some of this stuff may get pushed back further. It is disappointing that it's not there. I completely agree.
Right.
But I am happy that they're now sharing information like this, and I'm not going to give them too much shit for talking about mods earlier, and it got pushed back because they want to do further improvements to it.
No, I think I'm fine with that, and I'm really happy that they've been very transparent with what they're doing, and they're like, guys, look, this is what we're doing. Things can change, but we want to let you know that this is what we're talking about. I think with something like mods, though, that was one of those things, along with the sandbox change, that was going to be a huge switch up for Destiny 2. So I think if they were going to remove that,
than get it fast.
I would, if they're going to just remove that from the complete roadmap, just have a little excerpt of why that happened, you know, kind of update about mods. You know, it's fine that it's delayed. I want you to get it right. I want it to be perfect. I want it to be amazing. But just let us know, like, what's going on with it.
Yeah,
rather than like, it's there, now it's gone.
That's my experience. Like, this is something that I was really looking forward to because the game is missing that end game component. Like, that is the big problem with PvE right now, is once you do the raid, it's for the most part, it's an achievement, and then that's it. It's not something that you grind like it was in Destiny 1. And Mods 2.0 had the potential, because it was like, what's going to be in those mods? Where are they going to drop from? Ideally, a hard thing like a raid. And now that it got completely bumped off the list, not even saying like, they're just saying, well, it's you know, it's down the road, it's somewhere.
Yeah, it's still planned, but it's not going to make the 1.2 release.
So Jack, let me ask you, based on your experience and why you kind of let Destiny 2 slide off of your games to play, what are you seeing as something that would need to happen? Like, you know, the roadmap there, it's talking about sandbox adjustments, it's talking about heroic modifiers, adding PvP private play lists, Iron Banner 6v6. There's all these changes. For you and the kind of player that you are, what would draw you back to playing Destiny 2 regularly?
I mean, there's two games that we play every single week, that we release content in every single week. It's Minecraft and it's Grand Theft Auto. Minecraft, obviously, because it has like user created mods. I mean, like, there's so much stuff you can do in that game. It's literally an open sandbox where you can do whatever the hell you want. GTA, it's sort of, if Destiny could get to where GTA is, where GTA releases these crazy ass updates every couple of months, where it's like, hey, we're going to throw in this into the game and see how it breaks it. Okay. And it was like, let's just try new stuff. If it's something where it's like, you know, there's nothing tied to like, you know, there's achievements, but there's nothing like, you know, if this happens, it's going to radically mess up your game. Rockstar does it where it's like, okay, let's just try new stuff. Let's throw new things out there and to see how the community reacts to it. It's like, oh, we have a flying DeLorean now. Sure, why not? Okay, throw that in the game. Flying motorcycles. Okay, why not? Here's a bunch of new planes. And like they keep updating and keep bringing people back, and it makes it very, very interesting. It seems to me that Destiny is very much they want to be an esports kind of game. So it's like, you know, here we go. We're just going to update this for PvP and not really, you know, make it where it's like accessible to someone who might not be into PvP. Like it's like I want to say Destiny 1 felt to me like very much a PvE game, where Destiny 2 they're trying for the MLG PvP players. And if you've watched anything we've ever done, you know that we are not MLG at all. Like we are the definition of adequate and casual players. So there's more.
You guys fared pretty well against, I think it was Cloud9.
Yeah, you guys were freaking amazing.
I don't know about that. I think it beat the shit out of us is what that was. But I mean that's the thing. It's like, you know, we're not really those pro kind of players. Like we're more of like your average kind of like, I'm gonna sit down and play this game once every other week or so, and it doesn't feel like there's enough to make me really need to come back every single week and keep grinding. Because I know when the first major DLC drops, like when the first like here's the new raid, I'm going to be able to get up to the beginning of that raid within 2 hours of playing. It'll be like, here's all the gear you can buy. It'll bring you up to beyond where you could have made it in the vanilla launch. And already you're beyond that. So it's like, there's no point in me going back and like grinding out hours and hours and hours of like, oh, I'm light level, you know, 303. Here we go. Going up one more. It's like, no. Here we like, you know, you can go start, boom, you're already where you need to be and keep going from there. So what's the point of me going back and playing more of it and really kind of like spending hours and hours and hours to just incrementally increase myself, or just, you know, wait for the first DLC, get my, you know, we all have season passes, and then immediately pick up from where I need to start. So it doesn't seem to me like, you know, there's any incentive for me to come back and keep playing. Like there's nothing
for content, like DLCs, the Taken King kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like we went back for every major raid and came back, and like we would play for a few hours to kind of build up our characters to the point where we get to the new raid, play the new raid, beat it over the course of a couple of days, and then all right, we're gonna take a 3-month break and then start over again. It's like, all right, you know, new DLC comes out. Like, let's go take out Oryx. Okay, here we go. And then we all, you know, grind up to the point where we have characters that are strong enough to do that, and then start, you know, beat that raid and so forth and so on. But now for Destiny 2, it's kind of like, all right, we beat Callus, and it's like, well, no one's really aching to get back into that. You know, it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what the difference between Destiny 1 and 2 is as far as like the feel of the game, but it's something about it feels different.
100% agree.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Activision. I don't know if it was just doing, you know, it's the sophomore game, or the, you know, it was Destiny 2 as opposed to the first one. Was it radical changes in balancing or what? But I mean, something happened between 1 and 2 that made 1, it was like, man, this is a lot of fun, I could play this. 2 came out and I was like, okay, I'm sort of done with this.
I got a quick question for you.
1 was also like fresh and new and like an experience that we've never had before as gamers, especially on the console side, where Destiny 2 very much felt like more Destiny 1.
But did it though? Because honestly, if Destiny 2 came out as a DLC for Destiny 1, if like the expansion, if it came out as an expansion, I would have been much more into that than I would have been a whole new game, because it felt like there was a lot of stuff changed just for change's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of changes made, and it didn't feel like they were earned. You know, it was kind of like, oh, we're just going to change it because it's a new game, so here we go. Here's a bunch of new stuff, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, think if you like a DLC dropped, and it's like, boom, you've got like a warlock, you know, like healing circle or whatever. It's like, oh, that's cool, that's new. Like that'd be neat. That'd be a cool DLC. Like I'd buy another season pass for that, like a year 2 or 3 season pass for that. But it's like, oh no, here's a whole new game. It's like, oh, all right, well, all right, I guess we now have that ability where we didn't have it in the first game. Like, you know, like they tried stuff with the shard, and it was like, oh, well, here's some new stuff. But it's like, okay, like it was like, again, the story started so strong where it's like, we're taking all of your, you know, your light's gone. Like, oh shit, okay, that's kind of cool, and the idea behind that. Then it's like, oh no, but
5 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, here's a piece of the traveler, and now you got all your stuff back. You're fine.
Yeah.
It's like,
good.
Well, but Okay.
I think the biggest curse that happens when a game does a sequel, and then what happened with Destiny 2 is that they reused too many assets from D1 to sell it as a new game, where it should have been an expansion. If it was expansion, just like you said, a light pool, this is new. Titan Shield, wow, this is some new changes to a sandbox that I'm used to, and I still have my old weapons and so on and so forth. Now fast forward to a new game, Destiny 2, and you start getting loot that looks the same or is the same to Lalok. All right, not Lalok, sorry, but a multi-tool. Surprise. It immediately puts a bad taste in your mouth. That's what happened with the pre-sequel in Borderlands. It was like, why is this not an expansion instead of making a brand new game? Makes no sense.
And it feels different, which is, I guess, the worst part is that it felt heavier, it felt slower, didn't feel as snappy.
Feel as good, yeah.
It didn't have that Destiny 1 feel that kind of really brought me in and got me so addicted to it. Yeah. So we got a bunch of new stuff, and it felt totally different. So.
With that kind of in mind, Jack, you said something feels different. The biggest thing to me, and this is a big topic within the community, is like the weapon systems. In Destiny 1, you had your primary, your secondary, which could be sniper rifle, shotgun, stuff like that. Then you had your big heavy weapon, and then in Destiny 2, we have the equivalent of two primaries, and then a heavy weapon that can be like a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So like, which of those systems did you like more?
Oh, I very much prefer the first one. I mean, like Destiny 1, where it's kind of like, okay, here you're sort of like rifle stuff for your primary, to get a little bit meatier weapon, like your shotgun, your sniper for your secondary, and then typically your heavy ended up as an exotic, which the exotics in the first game felt like, oh man, look at this. I have a kick-ass exotic weapon, and I'm going to use this as my specialty, your Galahorn or whatever you're going to have. And then the second one, I was like, oh yeah, it's all they all sort of feel the same. Like I find myself not really changing weapons as often in Destiny 2 as I did in the first game. It's like first game is kind of you have your close range, sort of like your assault rifle, then you have like a sniper, and then you've got your rocket launcher. You sort of have like a 1, 2, 3 punch. Whereas like Destiny 2 is like, okay, I've got my assault rifle 1, assault rifle 2, and then maybe a shotgun or whatever it is, and it's like. Doesn't feel like the sort of range is there. Doesn't feel like when I say range, I don't mean distance. I mean literally like scale from like start, like weak to powerful. It all kind of feels the same. It all kind of blends together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I figured that would be the answer. And
feels like less space magic.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Going back to the roadmap, so we talked about mods that got bumped off the list, and that's pretty disappointing. There are some changes that got made. For the better. One of those things is that Rumble got moved up. We didn't really expect that to come till much later. I don't even think it was on the roadmap for 1.2. Was it? We were expecting it in September?
I think so, because they said 6v6. Yeah, they said 6v6, and then we're talking about Rumble. They're not sure yet.
So that's now coming on March 27th, along with the weapon and ability sandbox changes. So that's actually really exciting.
That's cool. Glad to bring back Rumble. However,
one of the things.
It's a weekly playlist.
It is a weekly playlist, but it's only switching between two playlists that we know of, Mayhem and Rumble, both of which are a lot of fun.
That's true.
One thing that I was very disappointed that got pushed back was the strike-specific loot.
Yeah. So on February 27th, we are getting Nightfall scoring and high score tracking. We're getting new emblem variants for destinations, Crucible, Nightfalls. We're getting a bunch of smaller changes as well. But along with that Nightfall scoring, it would have been nice to have a loot reward to go along with it, right? And that's getting pushed off a full month later. So to be honest with you, my interaction with Nightfall scoring, I'll probably go in and check it out. But until they add the Nightfall Strike unique rewards, my drive to actually go grind those Nightfalls is going to be pretty low until March.
Exactly.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they also said that they wanted to make them. What was the phrase, as artistic or something, or they wanted the artists
unique.
Yeah. Unique and all that, which makes me a little nervous. Like I want them to be like they need to change the sandbox. They can't just be reskins with a new emblem attached to the side or something like that the artist came up with. They have to make the sandbox different. So it's something that's in my inventory. What they said,
though, Tefty, I feel like really lives up, or indicates that. They say it's more important that each of these rewards live up to the difficulty it will take to earn them.
True.
That sounds good, right? Is like that makes them sound like they are going to be pretty powerful.
We will see. I hope so.
We will see.
I really hope that's what it is.
Also, I like in the back of my head, I was wondering if they're waiting to release those weapons until the sandbox change, because they're going to coincide with that sandbox change.
It's possible,
right?
Like they're being designed around that change.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's true. So maybe if they brought it out a month earlier, then maybe it'll just not do what it's supposed to do.
True. Yeah, like it's actually new perks that have been designed for the sandbox.
There's one thing. There's one thing of that changes. One of the changes makes complete sense along the lines that you're talking about, Briar. The exotic weapons and armor sandbox changes moving over to May makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. I know that kind of disappoints me because I want to see those weapons become and armor become make them able to change the way that the game plays and feels. I've said that many times. I don't want to go into the broken record thing, but opening up in March with the weapon and ability sandbox changes gives them a chance to see what that looks like, right? And make adjustments to the sandbox and then apply these exotic weapons to them and armor. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that they really move into their exotic weapons and armor being game changing, right?
Well, was it John Wojciechowski who was tweeting this week about the
Sunshot? Yes,
he was.
He was playing with it, or he saw somebody playing with it in the updated sandbox, and it caused a triple kill with its explosion.
Yep.
Yeah.
That sounded like fun.
If people are running around with sunshots that can get triple kills, where's all that hand holding gonna get you?
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying, man. There's a cost benefit there.
Yeah. So they're also adding emblem variants as well that are going to track different things with the Nightfall, which I actually think this is a really cool cosmetic thing, because you're going to be able to get the emblem and then unlock the different variants as well that will show different information for you. Because one of the things that we kind of complained about in the first 2 months of Destiny 2 coming out was, oh, look, I got this emblem. Too bad it doesn't show me how many lost sectors of, whatever, or how many times I've killed Callus or done the dogs or whatever.
I got this emblem for doing this specific thing, but it doesn't track what I'm doing.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So they're finally bringing that around the corner and going to have some of that stuff dropping in Nightfall, which is cool.
Yeah, so they talk a little bit about
the idea of the victorious veteran emblem, where you actually unlock variants of it based on your performance in the Crucible, right? So you get a hunter version if you're a hunter, and then if you defeat 1,000 hunters, you get like a broken version of it. And if you defeat 1,000 titans, you get a broken version of the Titan one, or the Warlock one. I thought that was kind of cool.
Cool. So you can truly show your disdain for other classes,
right?
In the THWAB though, they do a screenshot of a example of one, and it says lifetime Crucible kills 14,041. I just want to point out that this person killed more warlocks than any of the other classes, which is rightfully so. This is a true depiction of any guardians.
We never actually asked Jack, what do you play?
I'm a warlock.
Of course,
absolutely. Warlock best jump out there.
No.
Ooh, I don't know about
floaty jump, best jump.
Wow. I'll take Blink as an answer, not the float.
We're gonna need to have a conversation about you properly vetting our guests before they come on.
Sorry, I'm embarrassed right now. I don't know what I did.
Oh man.
The quote last week was Titans are better than every other class. I hate warlocks. Something like that, Pope.
Nova Bomb. It's all about Nova Bomb. Come on now.
Do you never say anything like that? Do you devour? I bet he devours.
Do you devour?
He has to devour.
You devour.
Of course, right? Devour is the only way to go.
Eating a grenade and getting all your health back, and then being able to kill something within a few seconds after when you've got that buff, and that's not overpowered, right?
No.
Are you suggesting that they should remove space magic from the game? Is that what you're?
No, I am not. I'm simply
the line of thought you're on, Pope. Is that we're overpowered and we have too much abilities?
No. All I'm saying is Sunsinger being able to come back from the dead in the first game, like doing raids, and like, oh, I know for a fact that I'm not going to be the one to wipe the raid because I can bring myself back to life.
It did feel really nice. It felt like I won't have to embarrass myself because if I die, I can just be like, hey guys, I did it so I could be in my super.
Didn't it
exactly
kind of feel like easy
Jack's
mode?
dead. Like, nope, I'm back. What's up? Not me.
Didn't it feel like easy mode though, being able to do that?
Hell yeah.
Just saying.
No, but that change is awesome. I really like that they that the change that they're doing to that, and they're also tagging in, right, Brian? They're tagging in like how auras work, right?
Yeah.
So auras are going to be connected to your emblems now, and you'll also be able to get specific effects based on those auras that could actually affect your fire team.
Like more tokens.
I'm really excited about this because one of my favorite playlists is the Strike playlist. There's a lot of changes that are happening here, including some of the, if you look at the roadmap, the way that they're handling strikes and being able to do modifiers and things like that to them. But one of the cool things about this is that you'll be able to get this emblem and activate an aura by beating the Nightfall, and getting a certain score on it. And then when you go back into the Heroic Strike playlist, you're going to be giving your fire team a buff where they earn additional rewards. But they will know, because right now you can do that, but no one really knows that you're doing that for them, right? And it feels good to be able to be that guy, right? That I'm using
philanthropic warlock.
Yes, but philanthropic, and I want people to know that I'm their sugar daddy, Like that's where I'm at. Yeah, I want them to turn around when I land on. Yeah, when I want them to look at me and bow down to my greatness that I am giving them.
You're like, here's your extra token.
Yeah,
don't spend it all in one spot.
It's more than just tokens, sir. But it is a buff.
Did they talk about anything else that it's going to give?
No.
No, it's only tokens at the moment. If they do
give more stuff,
if they do have,
that's the only example they gave.
Yeah, if they do have some interesting things to give, that's great. I just don't know what they could possibly give right now to somebody who has everything in the game, aside from those new emblems.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Hopefully, it's more than just tokens.
Yeah.
Well, real quick. So, like, you guys have been big Destiny guys for a long time now. So, what do you feel about like sort of your traditional Destiny streamers like Datto and stuff kind of getting away from the game and going on to other things and kind of like spreading out, their love to other games? How does that feel for y'all?
I don't know. Tefty, Watts, Briar, Patrick. Each one of these guys mained Destiny and are now playing other things.
Yeah. Like Datto's a close personal friend of mine. And personally, it's like we've had like long conversations where we're like, hey, we can't keep doing this. This whole focusing everything on one game just doesn't. It doesn't work. We got really lucky.
I was saying, but it did work. I mean, that was the thing. It worked in Destiny 1.
It did.
Yeah, I mean, Destiny 1 was just this absolutely unique experience. But I think towards the end of it, it was definitely everyone was feeling it. It was like if Destiny 2 had been like Destiny 1, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. But like,
let me follow up on that just a bit, because I'd say it worked with Destiny 1 during new releases. But if you were not a Trials Sherpa streamer, it was a lot more difficult to maintain momentum and growth in there. So if your focus wasn't Sherping, whether it was raids or Trials obviously was very, very successful in that area, then I'd say it was actually it was difficult actually to grow.
Yeah, no, it absolutely
Destiny
was.
1 directory.
Yeah, no, it absolutely was a stream, and even on YouTube side of things, like he kind of ran out of things to make content for on the game.
What do you do? I mean, you can't review. So here's the problem: without these random rolls, without new guns coming out, really, and new stats, and the limiting of the stats on guns.
You can just say new content coming out in general.
Well, how do you make a video on this great gun? Right? That doesn't exist.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess getting back to the original point of the question, if I remember it correctly, it's just like Destiny 2. It was kind of a hard wake up call to all this. Some people had been thinking about it for a while, and some people got the rugs kind of pulled out from under them, so to speak, in regards to the type of content that they were going to make.
Yep.
Honestly, it's a bummer for content creators, but it's also a bummer for, you know, people who raided with their clan all throughout Destiny 1, week in, week out, or played Crucible with their clan, or had a core group of friends that just played Destiny for 3 years. And then, you know, people just fell off the game because, you know, it just wasn't the same. So that's almost the sadder part about it, is like,
it definitely is.
Seeing like kind of like these stories on Reddit or on Twitter of, you know, I still like playing Destiny, but all my friends left. So I'm kind of like searching around for a clan. It's not the same because everybody's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, even just looking at the directory, right? Looking at the Destiny directory, you don't see all those people that you saw for 3 years in the directory. It's kind of everyone's gone. So I think that's what's more upsetting for a lot of people, is it feels like, we still have our friends who we met through Destiny, of course, but it feels like that Destiny community isn't necessarily there anymore.
But a lot of them are now, you know, over playing Fortnite or playing PUBG,
and they've been really successful too,
or playing Monster Hunter.
Awesome.
It's like a lot of people have kind of taken the core groups and just moved on to another game, you know, or moved on to a variety of different games.
Yeah.
You know, in my eyes, like, part of the problem is, Destiny 2 is not the same, but part of the problem is that Destiny 2 is more of the same, but like these completely new experiences have happened, like PUBG, like Fortnite, like Monster Hunter, where you know, it's just, you know, it's like, how long can you do the exact same thing and not get bored?
I agree with you to a point, but like Destiny 1 had some grind that was there, and D2 definitely does not have it. You could get get all the exotics within a month easy.
I mean, I would argue that, you know, like, you know, Destiny 2 came out before Fortnite, before PUBG really kind of took off, and it's like already people were tapering off before then. And it seems to me like, you know, Destiny 2 kind of hit a spike when it came out. It was like, oh, new, and then it's like, there was nothing to support it. Like, it came out strong and then kind of tapered so fast, and then other games took its spot. But I like, at the same time, I think if it had the legs like Destiny 1 did, I think people would still be playing Destiny 2.
Oh, for sure. There's no doubt.
I agree. Yeah.
It was like, it seemed like they were like trying to reinvent the wheel for no real reason. It was like
the environment that Destiny
so well, and to change it up for, I don't know why. I mean, that was it to me.
The environment that Destiny 1 launched into, though, was a weird time too, because like Call of Duty was having a bad year. Battlefield 4 was basically broken for like 6 months. Like the launch window of Destiny was kind of like a really weird time for first-person shooters that it definitely doesn't exist now. Like, there's a lot of strong competition for shooters right now.
True. Yeah. It also with the console market being different too. That same thing. Like, PS4 was relatively new, like maybe like a year or two, something like that. And so there was looking to be like an actual title that was your the title that you'd want to play a lot on. That was like a COD replacement type of thing, and it really filled the slot for a lot of people right there. And there's just way more competition right now on PC and on consoles.
Yeah, I think also the games that came out kind of scratched the itch for both sides of the community. You had Fortnite that kind of offered you the feeling of Destiny 1 PvP, where you could go 1v4 and you could have these hero moments. And then Monster Hunter came out and was like, oh, this is the grind that I wanted from Destiny. So just those two games kind of captured what different people wanted from Destiny 2.
Yeah, exactly. Monster Hunter really has captured the PvE side that people want.
Yes.
Oh, very much.
The desire to make a build, and the difficulty in terms of RNG, and the variety.
And the grind.
Together with
Feels
a fire
so
team to take down a big enemy.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense why a lot of people enjoy it. It's not a first-person shooter, and I've said this many times on the cast. Like, if there comes a first-person shooter that has a deep looting experience, it is going to light. It's going to light the game industry on fire with the interest level. Like a Borderlands 3 with, you know, the type of online interaction that Destiny has. And we thought Destiny 2 was going to do it, but they just didn't have an end game. Just wasn't there.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when Destiny 2 was like I got to play it at E3 on the PC, and I was like, holy crap. Like, this is amazing. And I was like, I can't wait to play it on the PC. And honestly, I mean, the way Achievement Hunter works is like whenever a game's new, we play it. So it came out on the console first. So we played on the console. I was done with it before the PC version even came out. And I was like, oh, all right. I mean, I'm kind of finished. It's like really no point in picking up on the PC. And I've started the PC character, but it's like, I mean, the fact that I was able to burn through all the content and be basically done with the game in 2 months, that's a rough sign. Like Destiny, which had legs for 2 years, you know.
So I wish
that was like the big change for me.
Yeah.
In Destiny 1, I mean, I wish I was playing so much. I was grinding, like playing so often. I mean, I wasn't really getting a good night's sleep. You know, I was just
I totally
I was just really
feel you
struggling with being able to, you know, I'd lay down, I'd toss, I'd turn, you know, like I wouldn't get a good night's
I think
sleep.
I know how you can fix that, Pope.
Really?
I think I know how you can fix that. Yeah. You know, by using this week's sponsor, Casper mattresses.
Wow.
You know,
Really?
You're going to spend 1/3 of your life sleeping on a mattress. Pope.
1/3? Are you talking about
1/3?
gamers? Because gamers are like 1/5 of their life. But let's go ahead. 1/3
I got
of your life. All right,
I got
I'm
a
with you on
TV
that.
and a PS4 right next to my bed, so I'm good to go.
You can just spend half your life then.
There you go.
Yeah, it's half your life then. I mean, you should be comfortable on the mattress that you have. So their products have affordable pricing because Casper cuts out the middleman and sells directly to you. The original Casper mattress combines multiple supportive memory foams for a quality sleep surface with the right amounts of both sink and balance. They offer 2 other mattresses, so you know you can find the right fit for you. Seems like Jack, unfortunately, cut off in the call.
He already
there,
has
so-
a
Casper mattress.
He's laying
Yeah,
down
we're
on his
talking about
Casper
the
Gonna go
mattress.
lie down. You were making him feel so good about it. You had to get him back into bed.
Their breathable design is going to help you sleep cool, and it also regulate your body temperature throughout the night.
Ooh,
But don't take
nice.
my word for it here. They have over 20,000 reviews and an average of 4.8 stars across Casper, Amazon, and Google. Casper is becoming the internet's favorite mattress. I can say that I helped Dado set up his mattress when he was moving into his apartment, and it's actually a pretty interesting experience.
You're telling me optimal mattress sleeping per second?
I mean, if Dado picked it, you know it's gonna be.
I mean, yeah, if Dado picked it, then it's gonna be a good
optimal,
mattress.
guys. Optimal.
But the whole thing comes like in this wrapped up package, so it's already shipped to you. And then when you open it up, it's like this compressed, vacuum sealed mattress.
Okay, yeah.
So then when you poke a hole in it, it's like it's. I'm gonna equate the feeling to peeling off plastic from new electronics. Is like that.
Love that.
But with a mattress.
That's the best feeling.
Love
It's like that,
That's
but with a
crazy.
mattress. Yeah.
So it just gets shipped to you then.
Yeah, just get shipped.
And then you just open up the it's in this crazy small package.
Yeah.
And then you just smallish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then-
smallish packets, and
then
you can be sure of it too with Casper's 100-night risk-free sleep on it trial, hassle-free returns if you're not completely satisfied,
Crazy.
and then free
100
shipping
nights.
and returns. Huh?
100 nights? God damn.
Yeah, 100
that's
nights.
a lot of nights.
That's
That's,
it.
a lot of sleeping.
nights to try out this mattress,
That's
man.
a lot of game nights right there.
So sleep on it, and then there's free shipping and returns in the U.S. and Canada. If you want to try out one, Casper.com/DCP. Use promo code DCP. You'll be able to get $50 towards select matches by visiting Casper.com/DCP and using DCP promo code at checkout. There will be some terms and conditions.
Is that mattress unlimited frames?
You can fit it on unlimited frames that fit the size of mattress that you want.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
Oh, man.
Jack,
We
welcome
got a
back.
Terrible mattress
Yep.
right now, so I gotta
Thank you.
actually look into that.
Sorry, my internet decided to crap out during the ad read.
No
So-
problem.
It's all
Yeah,
good.
no worries.
I think we got through it.
Also,
I
your
think,
camera might need a little retooling for me.
Is it off?
Yep.
Yeah, it's off. Just it's not on at all.
Yep.
All
the
right.
camera's sleeping on a wonderful
There
Casper
we go.
mattress.
Dude, I will say I have a Casper mattress at my house and I love it. So I got a
Nice.
nice
There you
king
go.
size one. It's very good.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice.
All right. Well, thank you. Obviously, for you guys that are listening online, and for those people in chat, we're doing. We have sponsors now for the podcast. We appreciate you supporting them.
I think they just figured that out.
Yep.
Wait, that
Probably.
was a sponsorship?
No, we were just talking
about mattresses,
man.
Yeah, I thought we were, maybe broadening some topics, talk about some sleep schedules and stuff.
Yeah, I was just bringing up good sleeping habits. That's all.
You guys want to do Twitter questions?
Hell yeah!
I think we can move some Twitter questions.
Let's do it.
All right, I'm excited.
Topher says, Achievement Hunter's Destiny videos were the first time I learned about Destiny and wanted to instantly buy it. Tie for that, Jack and crew. I'm not sure what that says.
Thank you for that.
Got it.
TY. Thank you.
What game did you just happen to learn about through a video or a friend that turned out to become one of your favorite games of all time? For me, it was PUBG. When I first saw PUBG being played on Twitch, I was like, "Oh my god, I can't wait to try this."
So, a game that I saw streaming,
or video through a friend.
Yeah. Through a friend or a video. For me, it was watching a cutscene of Last of Us remastered, and seeing it transition into game. And I was sitting there watching the video, and I'm like I'm used to cutscenes, and then I'm like, wait, that's the game. They're in the game right now. Oh, that's cool. I gotta try that. So that's mine.
I think mine was probably Hellblade. Senua's Sacrifice. I didn't really know much about the game. I saw a video about the creation of it and the processes that they were using to create that game, and I was like, this seems really cool. And then I was like, this game seems really cool. So I was waiting for that game for a long time, and that's one of my favorite games ever.
It was really good.
I love it so much.
Really, really good.
Yeah. Pyre from Supergiant Games. I just saw I saw the trailer for it. I guess it's advertising working for you, but it wasn't because of a friend playing it. I saw the trailer. I was like, okay, I will most likely be buying this because this looks awesome.
I'm gonna go way back. Okay. I went over to my friend's house. I was in grade school. Okay, and his dad's computer had Warcraft 2. Ooh. And this was the first time I had even laid eyes on a game that was of this type of pedigree. And he had a modem, dialed up a modem, connected to somebody else, and played Warcraft 2 with them. That blew me away, and I immediately became a fan that day. And I told my mom, we have to buy Warcraft 2 right now, otherwise I'm disowning you.
And a computer.
No, we had computers, definitely.
It's all about Garden of War, man. Warcraft 2 Garden of War is the best.
We're finding out in the last 2 weeks that you are a closet magic player.
Uh-huh.
And
thanks for that.
This was also around that time also when I was into Magic.
And you played World of Warcraft or
this
Warcraft?
Is Warcraft 2. World of Warcraft is very different.
World of Warcraft.
Very
I'm
different,
sorry.
man.
I apologize.
Very different. Jesus.
Excuse me. I didn't know the difference.
Warcraft 2 is more like a real-time strategy game like StarCraft or...
Yeah.
It's the same world, but it's not the same type of game at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Are you back, Jack?
I'm here. For some reason, my webcam's acting goofy, but I'll probably drop and then come back just to see if I can get that thing kicking off again. But as far as me, honestly, like as far as games to play, I mean, I remember the old school, like going to the arcade and seeing people play Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 and being like, what is this?
So good.
And then I remember Mortal Kombat 1, that was my jam. And it was like, I learned all the characters, and then it came one day and it was like, Mortal Kombat 2, Reptile is a playable character now? What? And then, that was like, holy crap. I mean, honestly, I'm very lucky that I live in a world now where it's like, if there's a game I want to play, I can just play it. Like that's the beauty of doing what I do. It's like, there's something, if I can find a way to make sense to make a video out of it, we'll just do it. And so even if that's not the case, I'll just play it on my own. Like one of my favorite games I found at PAX East a couple of years back was a game called Kingdom the Game. It's this side-scrolling RTS, like 8-bit looking game that's amazing. And a buddy of mine's like, hey, you should check this game out. And I played it, and I'm like, oh my God, I ended up playing it for like 3 hours on the floor at PAX. And I'm like,
wow,
I should probably stop. So, and like things like that, it's kind of cool to bump into stuff that you never think about.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so I mean, I'm very lucky that I can kind of play whatever I want. But anyway, all right, I'm going to see if I can reconnect and get my cam working again. So I'll be right back.
No problem.
Okay. No worries.
We should probably be polite and like not ask the question, but
true. Well, I got an anecdote for you. When I was around that same time, a little bit later, Mortal Kombat 2 came out on Super Nintendo, and I pre-ordered it. It was the first time I'd ever.
Oh snap!
I told my mom, "Yo, we have to pre-order this."
And your mom was like,
I was like, no,
my mom was like, I'm concerned about you.
I was like, get a fucking job.
I brought it home, popped it in, ripped somebody's head off, and it was just little pellets of blood. It was nothing like the arcade, and I was so disappointed. I was devastated.
Super NES version or the Genesis version?
No, the Super Nintendo, man. The Genesis version had more blood.
Yeah.
But like on Mortal Kombat 2 for Super Nintendo, it was like these little pellets. It still had blood, which was a big thing for back then. Because the first one didn't have blood on the Super Nintendo. Mortal Kombat 1.
Tipper Gore had her panties all in a bunch about the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was a different time.
Different time, man. And I was devastated seeing less blood because I had spent lots of money in the arcades playing Mortal Kombat 2, ripping people's heads off.
I remember the first time walking into an arcade and saw Street Fighter 2, and that was mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm.
And then finding out how deep that game was, because at the time, arcade games were like off-road racing and, like Frogger and hey, there he is.
Hello.
So seeing Street Fighter 2 and it's 6 buttons and like the depth of the combo system and super moves that you had to like figure out and learn, and later on like Mortal Kombat and Tekken, where there's like 10 hit combos that you had to learn. Like, oh my god, that stuff was crazy back in the day.
Jack, I did want to ask you a question specifically. So content creators, one of the big things that we always discuss is like trying to protect ourselves from burnout. Because it was kind of popular in Destiny community because we played like one game to support our content and lives and everything, and we'd always say gotta protect yourself against burnout and whatnot. And a lot of us definitely started feeling that with Destiny 2, sometimes in Destiny 1. So, one, have you ever kind of had that happen via either your work at Achievement Hunter or, and then how do you kind of protect yourself against it if it has?
I mean, honestly, like the way Achievement Hunter works is we don't really focus on any one game in particular for too long, which works out really, really well. Like we move from more of a sort of tutorial based, like specific game, kind of like play this game and get this achievement, to kind of like we're just going to play stuff that we have fun playing and that we make good content out of. Like the way we pitch Achievement Hunter is the idea is if you were to, be on a couch with your buddies and just talking shit to each other, like that's what we want to do. We want you to be the extra member on the couch playing games with us. And so because of that, like we can kind of play whatever we want and have whatever, just literally it was like, I'm super into this game. Cool. And then we play it, it's like, all right, like this is a game. The beauty of it is like we have enough of us that if it's a game that you might not be into, you don't have to carry all the weight, which is nice. Cause like we played games where I'm like, I'm super not into this game, or I'm not good at this game, and I feel like I'm just kind of not doing anything. I can kind of step aside and let other people who are better at it, or, it more is in their wheelhouse more, to kind of take over. And then, vice versa. If it's a game that I'm super into, I can run with it. And then, so that's sort of the beauty of kind of what we do. You see a lot of streamers, like solo streamers or solo YouTubers, coming across problems with that a lot more because it's all about them. And even now, like I've been streaming on my own now for about 2 years, and like doing stuff solo versus doing stuff with a group is so radically different and so much more. There's different problems with it, is what it comes down to. It's kind of like being able to do stuff on your own versus doing stuff with a group. But really what it comes down to, it's like I have a friend, I've known one of my best friends I've known since I was 3. He's a firefighter. So like on his bad days, someone gets hurt. Yeah. On my bad days, we lose 30 minutes of audio. So it's like when you kind of step back and look at it from that, you're like, oh, I still get to play video games for a living. This is pretty cool. And everyone's going to have bad days no matter what job you have. You could have the best job on the planet. You can have a bad day at it, or just not be happy with it, or not feel fulfilled or whatever. But at the same time, it's kind of like, you know what? I'm doing what I love. And because of that, I will never work a day in my life. And so if you can find something like that you can, continue to do, continue to be good at, even if you have bad days, that's not the end of the world. Like it's okay. Like some people have those, some people have great days, some people have terrible days, but do what you want to do, continue to pursue what you love, and then you will be happy in life. At least that's my opinion. I could be way off on that.
No.
No, thank you. No, I think that'll probably help out a lot of people that are probably going through that at some point in the community.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Again, I mean, like, honestly, like, again, I've been doing the solo streaming stuff now. Like, my wife and I stream together, and it's a lot of fun. But man, like, when you're responsible for entertaining an audience by yourself, you start talking to yourself so much more than you would. I sing a lot more than I used to sing back in the day, so it's pretty interesting. Just trying to keep like.
I give these guys a hard time about like the job that they have, you know, like playing video games, right? But it's the reality is, I mean, I started streaming once a week just to remind myself not to be that guy, because the short period of time that I do stream, I'd stream, you know, for like an hour or two. I'm exhausted. Mm-hmm. I'm exhausted. Oh, absolutely. And I have like maybe like 50 people in chat like talking to me, and I'm exhausted.
No, I mean 100%. I mean, it's funny because you know, we'll have guests come in, like, you know, people who don't do what we do for a living. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, and they'll sit down and like play games with us. And after like an hour, they're like, "My God, all right, like, are we done?" It's like, "No, we're gonna film 4 more things before the end of the day." Like, what? It's like, yeah. I mean, it's. Again, it's I mean, like you know, if I was to tell someone, oh, I sit down at a desk and play video games and talk to my friends, it's like, oh, that sounds easy. But it's like being on point and trying to be funny while focusing on what you're doing and not being horrible at a game and listening to what everyone else is saying. That is not easy. And being able to do that, it takes a lot of practice. Again, I've been doing it a decade now, and I'm still not good at it. So it's like,
and I'm curious. Like you've had some pretty famous people join your studio to do those Let's Plays, right? And like, I mean, that's got to be nerve-wracking in itself. Have any of those guests been like, have made you, you know, you've been excited or nervous for that they're coming on? Or
well, I mean, like we've sort of done it long enough now that we're very comfortable in our own skin. But you know, every now and then we'll get someone like Troy Baker came and visited us the other day, and it was like, oh nice. Shit, that's Troy Baker. That's I've played lots of games with him in voicing it. And then we did a run for a while where we had like Neck Deep, which is a British band, like they came out and they played with us. Like 3 of the guys from Neck Deep came and played with us, and we played Rocket League with these guys, and it was great because it was like 3 just dudes ripping on each other, which is what we do. And then we had Dan from the Wonder Years come out, the band the Wonder Years come out and play with us for a bit, and then we've had Dante Bosco come out, and like he's Rufio and Hook, and I'm like, I'm playing video games with the Rufio right now. This is surreal. So, you know, like freaking he's the Fire Lord, he's Danny Zuko, and it's like what am I, huh? How did I end up here? You know, and then we'll have people pop on. Like even last week on our podcast, we had 2 UFC fighters. Like one of this UFC fighter's just been a fan of Achievement Hunter, and he's like, he was going to be in town for a fight, and he's like, hey, you know, if anyone knows anyone at Achievement Hunter, let me know. And someone reached out to him, and it's like, oh yeah, there's a UFC fighter. Like he's going to go fight at, you know, at our major arena here in Austin in a couple of days. And it's like he's just goofing around on our podcast, and it's like that's the kind of the cool stuff where it's like it can be overwhelming if you take yourself out of it too much, but it's kind of like, I'm doing my job, I know what I'm doing, we have another guest, great, bring him in, how can we make this guest interact with us? And then it's like, oh my God, that was super cool, you know. It's like let it happen after the fact. But I mean, again, that's just us being fortunate and being very, very lucky to be where we're at. I mean, even like my favorite moment of all time is during Extra Life, our charity thing. Mika Burton was a fan of Achievement Hunter Rooster Teeth, and so she ended up. I contacted her. Mika Burton is LeVar Burton's daughter, and so we became friends through online. And then she's like, "Hey, I would love to come out with Extra Life and bring my father." And I'm like, "Okay." And so LeVar Burton ended up sitting like, you know, a hand's distance away from me and read his book out loud to a crowd, and it was like. I was sitting next to him and he was reading, and it's like, this is the most incredible thing in my life ever. This is amazing. Like I'm done. I can't top it. And then Mika ended up coming on, like actually joining Achievement Hunter for a bit. She works for the No now, which is another part of our company, and she's awesome. And like I've had a chance to meet, you know, LeVar a few times, and like he's the most saint-like person I've ever met in my life. And I'm like, I grew up on Next Gen, and it's like to have a chance to actually talk to him, and like he knows who I am, and the few times I've met him, he's been like very interested in what I'm saying. It's like, this is awesome.
That's awesome.
And I play video games. Like, why am I here? This is dumb. So lucky. So that's me just being cocky now. I apologize. That's me rambling on about the cool stuff I get to do.
Nah, I got a bunch of things I want to talk to you about that are the cool things you get to do.
Finn Golfin. Next question. Finn Golfin says, what's your best raid memory from Destiny 1 or Destiny 2 from one of the Let's Plays with the rest of the Achievement Hunter crew?
Oh my God. Best memories? There is nothing more substantial and exciting than completing a raid with our crew, because up until recently, our guys, like, we've never really kind of buckled down and gotten really like played a game well enough to become good at it. Like, we've now created a series where it's like we intentionally try to play a game over and over until we're actually good at it. But playing Destiny is probably the closest we've been, where it's like, all right, we're going to beat our heads against this wall until we get through it. And so completing some of the early raids and actually finishing them was some of the most incredible moments ever, where it's like everything came together so perfectly. Where, I mean, I'm sure, as you guys know, on a raid, you do the same thing over and over and you fail over and over in the first 15, 20%, 30%, and then you beat it. And it's like it's never incremental. It's always like nothing done. That's how it always works. And then when you hit that moment where it's like, oh my God, this is the one, and like 95%, and then boom, he's dead, or the villain's dead. It's like, oh my God, like those moments, and like that visceral scream you have when you take down a boss. It's like, that's so much fun. That's absolutely my favorite part. I don't know any one particular moment of a raid. I mean, we have, like, Jeff is just absolutely horrible at platforming. So anytime there's platforming, like, everyone will be on the other side of, like, the ships or whatever, and look back and just be like, well, we're going to be here for 20 minutes, So, like, Jeff, go to orbit, we'll go forward, and you come back down. Okay.
Should have came as a hunter.
Yeah. I mean, warlocks, when you show up and you land and you start a raid and you look around and there's like 4 warlocks, or you're a titan or a hunter, and you just go.
No, the worst part is in D1 when the warlock is making the jump and slowly floating towards the edge, and then all of a sudden they hit it and they just go falling right down. At least in D2, there is the mantle.
The mantle. Next question. Go Faster and You says, favorite meta and off meta weapons for each slot. Midnight Q stinks on console, but Lord, I'm using it anyway. You guys got what are your favorite meta and off meta weapons?
I was using Prometheus Lens in PvP.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's actually pretty hilarious. I ended up getting a double kill when I had hardly any health left, and I just looked at the screen like, I just held down the button. It's made a really big bubble thing of pain.
The splash damage is nice. Also, hip firing it is you're very accurate. Hip firing it. It almost feels like a cross between. It's like a long range SMG at times. It's very good.
Yeah, it felt nice. I tried it out. I was like, let's just use Prometheus Lens, and then I ended up just having a really good time using it. So if I want to have just a good time in PvP, I'll go with the Prometheus Lens because it's fun and it's not super try-hardy, but it's also not terrible, so you don't get too mad.
Yeah,
good weapon.
Non-meta weapons, huh?
Meta and non-meta weapons.
I mean, I can only like survive in the meta. I mean, that's just. I mean, I'm hella average. So if it's meta, I'm using it.
Yeah, you got to use the best to compensate for the user sometimes.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right, Matt.
When I'm trying hard, it's Midnight Q, submachine gun, and either probably play the game. Right, Midnight Q to me it's absolutely. When I'm absolutely trying hard, Midnight Q is my go-to gun because
gotta say, Briar, we did some of the Crimson doubles this past week. You did pretty good.
Snap!
I was expecting to have a heavy backpack, but you pulled your weight.
The Midnight Q it's so easy because you get the 4-shot headshot at the 150 round per minute fire rate, and then you kick off Rampage and you get the 3-shot headshot.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, you've got one of the fastest time to kill weapons on the battlefield.
That's true.
A very strong weapon. I will say, though, that I'm getting very comfortable with the 110 fire rate hand cannons,
really,
which are a 3-shot headshot. And there's one of them, I can't remember the name of it, though. It starts with an A, I want to say, that you can activate the perk and get a 2-shot.
Oh yeah, it's a blue one, I believe.
Oh, the blue one, yeah.
And Alone as a God. I've been sniping a lot lately with Alone as a God, and that flinch is fucking rough to deal with. But man, when you pull off when you pull off some nice shots, it's
those
still
snippy, snappy, quick snipe.
Jack, you got any weapons that you actually remember or know the names of that you used?
Pretty much the Prometheus lens, and what was the last one you just said? That one too.
Midnight Coup.
And the one before that. No. I mean, honestly, like I pretty much would get one weapon, like mine a multi-tool or something like that, and just go nuts. Yeah. Like I never. I mean, again, I wasn't a PvP player, so I kind of like whatever would just torch people in PvE. That's all I would go for. So. Like I remember
footage you guys like using. It's like not normal loadouts that you would see from experienced people. It's like you're using whatever you got because you're not invested as much.
Exactly. I mean, I remember I got the Gallahorn before it went. I mean, well, eventually went back up into where you could buy it. But I mean, I had that like a long time, and I'm like, this thing is incredible, and it's all I used forever in D1. So it's like. Yeah, but I mean, as far as D2, I mean, that kind of comes back around to it. I'm like, there's nothing in particular. I'm like, oh my god, this is my jam. Like, this is my gun. Like. There was nothing in any one gun in particular. I was like,
there's only one gun that actually kind of feels like that, like Legend of Acreus, but it can have those really powerful moments, but it requires you to run the raid like a lot to get it.
Well, I feel like when I'm really trying hard, when I'm really trying to go, elo farming, I pull out the colony because I feel like it has the most highest skill gap. I mean,
I like shooting robot spiders that
it intimidates my enemies. They see me with it and they go, "How?" It's like the No Land Beyond. It's like, how is this person going to use this weapon effectively? He's amazing, right? So that's why. I mean, I always everywhere I go, it's colony. Even when I'm in PvE, I like to see the robots crawling towards the.
Yeah.
Robots booters.
Colonies are getting a fix. I'm excited about that because on PC it's unusable. For anything.
Yeah, it's coming
unless
up soon.
You want to actually limit your friends.
Prepare yourself for the magic of being on the end of the colony.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like that's going to be interesting. But honestly, I end up using Legend of Acreus and then Midnight Coup because it was like it was the hipster thing to do. But now everyone has one, so now I feel like I'm gun.
You're moving away from the coup.
I'm gun homeless right now. Before. I'm gun homeless. Everybody has a coup now.
I don't see it that often in the Crucible, to be honest.
That's because everybody wants to rock our old fashions.
Because no one's playing.
I do love a good old fashioned. You know what I'm saying?
Also, I have I think ever since Mayhem, my desire to play Destiny 2's PvP has tanked and not recovered.
Yeah.
Well, I played the crap out of Crimson Doubles.
Crimson Doubles was actually really fun. You guys know Red Glitch. He's on the production team for the podcast, and
I just banned him in chat.
All around general troll. He has gone many times saying he hates Destiny 2 PvP. I will speak for him there. But he was actually saying, "Hey, I want to play more of that." Like he was actually enjoying Crimson Doubles.
Red was enjoying a thing.
Yes, Red was just enjoying something in life, which is a miracle in and of itself.
Well, I'm going to tell you that I played about 30% of my games as going in solo, matching up with people, and then the rest with different people. But I'd say the majority of the games I played were with my 10-year-old. And I'm telling you, as a father-son event or time spent, I had the best time with my son. It was a lot of fun being 2v2. It was less chaotic and hectic. I could talk to him. We could coordinate. We could work together. It was a great experience, and we could be successful. And you know what? And if we didn't win a game, the rewards were still good.
It's true.
You were still getting rewards even if you lost. And I don't know. I did run into Watts. I did run into the Shinobu's Vow skip grenade spammers, and that was frustrating. But they weren't as.
Were you able to 2v1 them? 1v2 them?
I did.
Oh,
about a quarter of the time. So they did win. They
was
were.
Was that
effective.
when they were split up though?
The thing is, you let them get cocky, right? You lose a bunch right up front, and then they start splitting up, and then you come back.
And then you can 1v2 them because they're split up.
That's
there
right.
You go. Hey.
Now you get it. All right. Well, no, it was fun, and I had a really good time at it.
I enjoyed that event tremendously, to be honest with you.
Something that we didn't talk about that's happening right now is Faction Rally, and there's new weapons.
Is there?
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
Neither did I, because I haven't done it yet.
It's a world called hand cannon. And if you like the Jack Queen King, it's kind of like that.
Okay.
Cool.
I've been playing it, and it's it's just doing the dailies. I haven't had I don't get a chance to play a lot until any amount of time until Sunday or Friday and Sunday. So so far I've just jumped on and been able to do the dailies, and that's just really farming the usual.
Is any of the new weapons that you can get standouts?
There's one that I think people are looking at, and it's the I don't know. You know what? Honestly, we're gonna get these guns.
You can say no.
No.
Yeah, you can say no.
There you go.
That's
the answer's no.
You can actually get new stuff in the engrams, and then there's also the reward ones. Out of any of those 6 weapons, I believe, do any of them have some interesting new stuff in them?
Move on.
My chat, I haven't used it yet. My chat has been telling me that the feature roll call auto rifle is really good, but I haven't used it yet.
What does it have on it?
I don't know. I don't have it, so.
Yeah, I got
There's
it.
the
last
problem
night,
with Destiny 2's loot.
I got it, and I haven't used it yet. But honestly, is there?
Well, you can't have it
that
both ways, Tefty. You can't have stuff that you don't have yet, and then be upset.
No, because there's no excitement. No, there's no excitement over the new loot.
Okay.
The faction rally.
That's what he's
commenting. I thought you were commenting. Well, I don't have it, so
no. I'm definitely not talking about like the grind to get it. I love the grind to get stuff like that. I want it's like the Midnight Coup. I don't want the Midnight Coup to suddenly be so easy to get because it's a good weapon. It's exciting to have. Suddenly everybody has it, and the desire meter just drops significantly. So if there is something that comes into faction rally that changes the sandbox, that makes it exciting, I feel like people are going to start talking about it.
And that's
right. Well, hopefully the sandbox change updates that, but
yeah, and it's still far out though.
Yeah. Sparty4U says people often say they want a slightly faster time to kill, but hand cannon can either 3-shot or 4-shot, which means everything has to be balanced around them. Does this make them part of the problem?
So it's actually, I think everything is more balanced around auto rifles because they're the ones that actually technically have a time to kill instead of like shots
to kill.
Yeah, it is shots, but this is getting into like really kind of complex sandbox design stuff. But you have to balance everything around kind of everything. You generally want to, I guess, balance it around more of a global time to kill, and right now it's like firmly at a second.
It's even a little higher than a second. I mean, it hovers between 1 and 1.2 for most weapon types, and that's about the same time to kill as it was for all body shots in Destiny 1.
Mm-hmm.
Where your fast time to kill now with headshots is about the same in time as your body shot time to or headshot time. I'm sorry. In Destiny 2, your headshot time to kill is about the same as your body shot time to kill in Destiny 1, which is why it feels so much slower. So I really think that hand cannon should be a 3-shot kill, like for the 150 or for the 140 fire rate.
Mm-hmm.
And that will increase
precision shots.
And then that'll make it like a 0.8, 0.9 time to kill for headshots, and then balance everything right around there. Because most other weapon types are easier to balance.
And then up the damage in PvE because I'm tired of not doing explosions and fun stuff.
Explosions.
I don't know. Just the game definitely feels like it was entirely balanced around PvP.
It really does.
The weapon system, the time to kill, everything. Which is, I mean, I'm guessing Jack, that's why you didn't feel like it was that interesting.
Preach.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cody Holder says, do you think that Bungie will learn from Destiny 2 mistakes and make Destiny 3 include what we expected in Destiny 2?
Oh my god.
i.e. endgame content, Crucible modes.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we had this exact same question when Destiny 2, when we were like waiting for Destiny 2 to come out. But it was like,
I mean, probably.
They'll learn from mistakes in Destiny
Probably.
1.
Yeah.
I think
Shame
above
on
anything,
you.
Bungie learning is, I think they now have a better idea of the type of people that enjoy their game, whereas before it doesn't seem like they really knew what people liked about Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now it's like, hey, looks like this is the thing that really made Destiny 1 successful. So I'm kind of hoping that they just learned that, because if they learned that, they can apply that to just many things going forward. So I hope we know that our players want something to look forward to, something to grind for, a reason to play, all this stuff. I just hope they take that and stick with that.
Hey, the whole D3 discussion, like I guess that's why like them pushing things like mods 2.0 off the list and so on and so forth, and remapping the roadmap, it makes it uncomfortable because they got this game that underperformed for expectations for longtime fans, and when you put enough hours into it, you really see the holes. And hearing discussions about D3 in the future of what they're doing, it just like, we need all hands on deck to fix what they sold us right now and to give us a good D2 version. Like,
yeah,
I get game development takes time, but when you have a huge, when you have 700 people plus working on a video game and there's holes in the ship, it's like, wouldn't it make sense to devote maybe more people to the holes in the ship and patch that up before trying to go get more cargo and throw it on the ship?
Well, I mean, and that's all about cycles, like gaming cycles now. Like a game, they could be working on something like they're working on 3 Assassin's Creeds from now right now. So it's like you get something like Destiny. It's like, they're working on DLC for the next game right now. Right. And so it's one of those deals where it's like almost like a cruise ship where it's like, oh, we need to turn. All right, give us 4 hours and they'll be able to turn. It's like that's how it works. It's kind of like they're sort of this boulder that's rolling, and then like to get that thing to change direction is going to be tricky. And so I don't know that. And I mean, knowing a little bit about game development, like that's sort of like the trickiest part about it. It's like, and once stuff starts going wrong, if they don't immediately jump on it, it's like, okay, well, this is going to keep going wrong for a long time until we can kind of restabilize where we're going. So hopefully we've kind of got to that point now with Bungie, and it seems like they're seeing player bases dropping and a lot of like revolting from the audience, and it's like, oh, we need to figure out what the hell's going on. And it seems like now they're starting to react to that and sort of like starting to patch up, the wounds. But it seems like they're getting back on the right track, but we'll see. Like I think the next like 6 months will be very important for what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I agree.
I just want to see them have the same like development team for longer than 18 months at a time.
Oh man, yeah,
Lord,
that would help.
Rebooting this goddamn game.
That would help for sure.
Yeah.
Nathan Tweddle says, I'm sorry, that was the wrong one. The Phones 101 says, for $1,000, 2 toaster slots implanted into your leg. They're self-cleaning, water safe, and on occasion produce toasted goods magically. Would you do it?
Wait, what?
Would I have a toaster like bioengineered into my leg
for $1,000?
Someone is paying me to have this.
Someone's paying me to have.
That's not clear. I'm actually not clear on this. He doesn't make it clear if you're paying or if they're paying you.
Yeah, it's like, do I have to pay $1,000 to have this?
That's what I'm.
And then you randomly have like a cinnamon raisin bagel pop out of your legs.
Is it random, or can I at least put the bagel in there?
Toasted goods magically.
Yeah, magically, occasionally.
So I don't know why this toaster needs to magically do anything. It's a fucking toaster. That's one job.
You're sitting there in a meeting and out pops who knows what.
Like,
I don't want to constantly think I'm having a stroke because I'm smelling burnt toast.
Those Legos?
What did I miss?
Legos?
Huh? Yeah.
What's the question, Briar?
I'll read it for a 4th time. For $1,000, 2 toaster slots implanted into your leg. They're self-cleaning, water safe, and on occasion produce toasted goods magically. Would you do it?
So I was in my bathroom, using the restroom, and I had the laptop on my lap listening to this. I just felt it was necessary for me to repeat the question again. I don't have a toaster in my bathroom, but if I could get one implanted surgically into my leg that magically produced baked goods, I would totally do that.
It's going to make taking baths just absolute hell.
You have no idea how many times I'm a school
safe.
Administrator. I'm sitting in meetings all day. Imagine just sitting there, you're in a meeting with, a bunch of teachers, and all of a sudden, boom, a bagel comes out, and you're like,
I do stream a lot. Well, you're selling me on this. I mean, nice. Sometimes I get a little peckish. Shit. Toaster
a little bit of cinnamon toast.
I'd say it. I'll do
you
it.
guys are jumping on them.
I'm not paying for it though. I'm not paying for it.
No, I need to be sold on the technology.
You need to get rid of logic and reason in this question, and just in this magical world where you can consume, you can produce baked goods out of your thighs from a toaster. I mean, that's not. I mean, I'd do it.
It's not. Is it really a negative? Well,
there's no negatives in there. What's the negative? I mean, think of yourself like hanging out. You've had a few drinks with your buddies. It's that time of night where
I want
bars are closing down, and all of a sudden you get like, a
pizza
pocket come out, and you're like, hell yeah, dude, this is great, woo!
Somebody said in chat, Keurig in one leg and a toaster in the other. I think I'd go with that. I would do that.
I would definitely want the Keurig.
If I had a beer tap in one leg,
I'd be down with that.
And a toaster in the other.
That would be dangerous.
It's like a RoboCop where a beer comes out of your leg instead of a gun. Stop it.
Nathan Tweddle says, why is it that all the best guests have such magnificent beards? After Fallout last week and Jack tonight, I'm starting to think Pope's getting biased. Thoughts?
I don't know.
Do you pick people by their beard, Poper?
Don't we have a month coming up of like just all female guests? And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you are making them wear beards.
Did you make Fallout wear the beard last week? Because I was personally insulted when Watts said, I think that beard's better than Briar's.
That wasn't me. That wasn't me. It was not me.
You know what, Jack?
People were calling your beard homeless.
I got to be honest with you.
I didn't prove that.
Your beard, the magnificence of your beard did weigh heavily on you being invited on this show.
I'm totally okay with that.
Okay. See, as long as they're okay with the bias, then what's the problem?
Jacko says, what is Patrick and Watt's favorite cloaks of Destiny 2?
Ooh.
Are there any good ones?
Yeah, we're on the same opinion here. Like I'm not sold on a lot of the cloaks.
There's ones that I'm like, it looks better than the other ones, but there's not been one that I get it and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is.
I don't have that my Dead Zone Revolution cloak. I don't have that.
I don't have my kitty cape.
Yeah.
I don't have anything that even remotely looks like a kitty cape. That thing was glorious.
Mm-hmm.
And the new Monarchy one's pretty good.
No, don't sell yourself short.
It's okay.
Iron Banner cloak with the ornament is.
That's using some Target brand stuff when you're really wanting to actually wear that real Louis Vuitton stuff. Okay.
What are you trying to say?
It's unfortunate.
Target burn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't.
I like Target.
You can cross that off to the potential sponsor list.
Damn it. There's a lot of things that Patrick has crossed off our potential sponsors list.
Bacon.
Bacon, one of them.
They don't want that being put on a baby.
Yeah, that's true.
No. Nobody wants that.
No bacon babies allowed.
Hugo Rune 79 says, have you ever knowingly or otherwise sacrificed a night of pleasure with your significant other to play a video game?
Yes.
We have both done that. It's real bad. It's real bad.
It was
just
my
like, hey,
other
Monster Hunter came out. We gotta get the HR. That you gotta stay up to date with people's HR. If you fall behind, it's not good.
True.
So, you gotta sacrifice what's necessary to stay ahead of the game.
The monsters aren't going to kill themselves.
Well,
that's true.
My wife is not watching in the living room next door, and I would never do that.
I don't think I ever have. I think I play enough games as it is that I'm like, I can go a night without playing a game.
There you go. That is a smart, wise man that we should all strive to be like.
I mean, I don't want to go that far.
I'm sure it's potentially happened, but I wasn't aware it was happening.
She wasn't like standing there in lingerie and you were like, hold on, honey, I got monsters to kill. So that's
I might have missed out.
That might be
let's define this. What are we talking about here?
But like, if it was explicitly offered, I am dropping Destiny like a cold fucking fish, and I'm out.
See, that's the difference.
Do that already.
Leave a raid team halfway through a raid. I don't give a shit.
That's the difference. If we're both just playing video games and now it's 5 a.m. and we're real tired and we need to go to sleep because our eyes burn, that's different to, hey, honey, want to do some stuff, wink, wink,
Yeah,
and then you're like, no, I want to go.
Yeah, I do.
No, I have a Xenogevia kill up in Monster Hunter. It's not going to kill itself. I need those gems, damn it.
I heard about this thing called a Dutch Crunch, and
we're moving on.
Oh, man.
This is a family podcast.
I mean, my story involved World of Warcraft, so yeah.
I mean, obviously.
She said, "Would you be my mage?" And you said,
"No." It was actually like,
why did you follow? Where was the follow-up question there? Why did that happen, Pope?
Look,
because it's entertaining, man.
Look, we were both in bed, and
there's no bigger nerd than a Magic World of Warcraft nerd. Yeah, I mean, exactly. he is like, I look up to him like some people look up
story,
to.
Pope.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we were in bed. This is my girlfriend at the time. And we were in bed.
And just for clarification, your girlfriend is not part of your body.
Yeah, my girlfriend is not part of my body. Pope.
Okay, good.
Wasn't at that time
not
either.
Your right hand.
She was a separate entity unto herself.
And a human.
Add a heartbeat.
Yes, a human too.
Add a heartbeat.
Yes.
Not purchased from a store.
Or rented for the evening.
No, yes, that's a good.
Yeah, Pope, I rented a hooker so I could not fuck the hooker and then go play World of Warcraft.
Look, that sounds like a very Patrick story.
I like that you rent one.
Is there a lease option? Like, what's the better value here?
Did you test drive it?
Sorry.
On your new
layaway
mattress?
Got the hooker on layaway. Douglas Corp 2 says, what was the arcade game that you spent most quarters on to play when you were younger? NBA Jam was mine.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, great question.
That's a good question.
Simpsons. I mean, should we take Simpsons and Ninja Turtles out of this because those were quarter munchers?
But the Simpsons was so good.
I would even say maybe the Terminator 2 arcade game too. That one was a quarter muncher.
You gotta take X-Men off that one too.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was.
I'd say Contra for me.
Contra, the arcade game.
No, not Contra. Shit. What's the
Atari Warriors? Maybe.
No. God, I'm spacing on it.
Man, I mean, Mortal Kombat 2, Street Fighter 2 were my jam. Like Street Fighter 2 Championship were like.
Street Fighter 2 has got to be mine.
I spent so much money on that game.
So the arcade that was near to my house had Battletoads. That's an arcade.
Yeah, that was a different version though. It wasn't as hard as the NES.
Still
version,
fucking sucked. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, what was the beginning of the question again?
What was the arcade game that you spent the most quarters on?
Oh man.
Someone in the chat said Gauntlet. That's another good one too.
Oh, that was a good one too.
Yeah, see, I played the most time with Street Fighter, but I was so badass I didn't spend a lot of quarters on it.
No, that honestly, like, there's something about the old school days where it was like you're shoulder to shoulder with the person you're fighting.
Yeah.
It's like there's such a unique time period where that was it, and like you would like that was multiplayer gaming. You literally were standing next to the person who you were fighting,
and the quarter
that
system
is gone. Like
how many put your quarter in, and then you got to stay, and the next guy put his quarter in. Yes. And like if you beat him, the next guy put his quarter. Like there's this rotation that was very satisfying.
Right. But then you get to the point where they had the extra monitor on top of the arcade machine because there were so many people circled around it.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff right there was like, man, like that was some unique, very special times. I mean, I remember we literally had a sheet of paper on Mortal Kombat 2 where when someone would figure out a fatality, they would write it down, and then like it would be like a list of of special moves and fatalities for characters. Because there was no internet back then. There was no like. Here's your strategy guide. This was like just mash buttons until you figure out something. And it's like, oh my god,
very long too. They're like a lot of like a very long combo.
I think I read like electronic gaming magazine. I'd get like stuff out of there.
Yeah. EGM.
Yep.
I remember the game I was thinking about earlier was Double Dragon.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Yeah, I paid a crap of Double Dragon.
I think over time the most money I spent was on Mortal Kombat 2. But as a kid, it was like I got money from my parents, and I was like, "Sweet,
Mom gave me money. I'm going in."
Yeah, I'm going to play some video games.
I remember being that cocky asshole who would be like, I would play Mortal Kombat 2, and I got to the point where I was good enough at it that I would let my opponent choose my character for me and then beat him anyway.
You're that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I was such a dick. It was the worst thing ever. But man, I love playing that game. So who was your main? I mean, Sub-Zero was my main. Like if I got to pick, but who did you play mostly?
On Mortal Kombat 2, I think it was like I played a lot of Baraka. I remember Baraka was one of the mains that I ended up picking a lot. But I was in the same type of thing where I could play a lot of them. Katana was a favorite as well. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, Sonya Blade.
God, I can't remember any other names.
Oh man, yeah.
I can tell you my favorite Street
Liu Kang,
Kung
Kung Lao.
Liu Kang was good. That's right. He was with the red sash, right?
Yeah.
The black
you do like
the
the dragon
sash?
kick.
Do the bicycle kick.
My favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. It's funny because like I could sit down and play Mortal Kombat 1 and do every single fatality in that game and know pretty much every single character's moves.
Wow.
It's like if I used 1/10 of my brain towards math or science, I'd be on Mars right now. But instead, I know, this, full circle with block is Liu Kang's fatality, and up is Scorpions. It's like 4 down forward high punch. Like I mean, I know, I wasted my potential, is what I'm saying. That's all.
No, you actually reached your potential. No, you helped many generations.
Parents are like, you're never gonna. You can't get a job off this. Watch me.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is, my dad, like, we'd go to the grocery store, and my dad would stay with me, when I was like 3 or 4, and my mom would do the shopping, and my dad would pull over a chair so I could stand on the chair to reach the controls of Akari Warriors, and that was my first video game I ever played. And he would just feed quarters into it, and I'd sit there and play for like 30 minutes, and like I got really good. They brought in Tubin, and then Narc, and then Frogger. And
Where was your arcade your go-to arcade? Mine was at a 7-Eleven. There was an arcade in a 7-Eleven, and I could just sit there and just play for days.
There were 2 or 3. The one we go to most often was at a pizza place called Mr. Gaddy's, which is a Texas chain, and that's where I played most of my stuff. And then HEB, which is a grocery store, that's where I first played Street Fighter 2 and stuff. But then there was Aladdin's Castle at the mall in Barton Creek Mall, and that's where I had probably had 8 birthday parties there, where it was like, you get the $10 worth of quarters and just like sit there. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna beat Ninja Turtles today. And so, yeah, that was absolutely
Ninja Turtles. Oh my god,
that was a great game.
There
was 3 or 4 people that could play that at the same time.
4.
Four.
And had the weird like animated version of all the turtles, but then like an actual woman as April O'Neil at the top.
Yeah.
Do you remember the scandal that happened with arcade games and the ability of games for high score, where they allowed a quarter to continue your game? A pay to win. It was the first concept of pay to win. If you had like $20 in quarters, you could put the high score up on an arcade machine, because you would just, when you died, you just put another quarter in and just continue.
Oh, you continued your score?
Right.
Oh,
and so that was the first time where, like, if we think that we're talking about pay to win now, back in arcades.
Write about that in the local paper?
What's that? No, I mean, people were pissed about it. Purists were pissed about it. They were saying, like, you've got these scores on the arcade machine, and those are meaningless now because you don't know who spent $20 or who spent 1 quarter, right? And what's skill? Skill is being able to get the high score off of 1 quarter, right? Yeah. And so I was just remember that way back when, and the conversation has never gone away. It's just gotten more complicated.
That's true.
I have my buddy's dad owned a VFW when I was in Minnesota, and that's where I would play a lot of these arcade games. I have a very like acute memory playing arcade games there, and then one day my buddy's dad had got Doom and loaded up on his PC there. And I saw Doom for the first time at the VFW on his PC, and everybody was freaking out. We're like, "Oh my god, that monster! This is amazing!"
Mom, you gotta buy that for me. We need to get Doom right away.
Basically, after that,
let me go ahead and date myself. So I remember I was on a dial-up BBS called Big Toe, and the big thing about this one was it was a BBS that you would dial up on your PC, and they had this weird thing where it was like it tricked Doom and Doom 2 into treating IPX, or like treating your modem like an IPX network. So you could play 4-player Doom and Doom 2 online via dial-up, and I would do that nonstop.
That's awesome.
And I remember that.
God, that was 20 years ago.
Yeah,
more than that, almost 25 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 40 years old.
Doom was the early 90s?
Doom was, I think, 95. Actually, I have a copy of it right here somewhere. Yeah, I've got a copy. I don't know if you can see it on my back wall right there. That's an autographed copy of Final Doom. I got at a Child's Play charity event. So that's signed by John Romero, which is pretty cool. But God, I'm bragging. I apologize. I'm being that guy.
Please do it.
Honestly, that was the one thing I've ever seen that I'm like, I have to own this. I have to own this. And so I spent way too much money on it, but it was for the kids, so it's all good. But yeah, I remember playing Doom. Like, I went full nocturnal over the summers where I would start playing Doom at 6 o'clock at night and not stop till my parents were going to work the next morning, 7 or 8 in the morning, and then go to bed. And so that was my jam, man. I love that. I love playing Doom. That was so much fun.
Nice. I ended up playing a lot of Quake Online when with the same type of thing where Quake had first gotten dial-up type of stuff. And I remember playing same type of thing where I'd just play way too long into the night. And I had Daft Punk's Homework album on loop, the whole album constantly while I was playing Quake. It was awesome.
Nice. Do you remember a game type called Jailbreak for Quake?
Yeah.
Maybe Quake 2. That was a game type that I don't understand why it hasn't come back around. So it was, again, I'm getting way off track now, but it was a game type where when you died, you would respawn in a jail and your opponent's base. That was a walled-in area, but then there was a hole. Then you didn't have any weapons, and there was a hole. If you could work with your other teammates who had died, you could climb on top of each other and then get to the hole, crouch, and get out. And then there was a button you could hit and unlock the door, and everyone could get out. So the idea was you had to kill everyone on the opposing team, get them all in jail, and just then the round would be over. But until then, they could always get out. So you'd have to have a jailer that would literally sit and just lob grenades into this hole to keep people from trying to break out. It was amazing. I remember I was that dork who had a LAN party at my house, and we played that for 6 hours straight. It was awesome.
It's awesome.
So I don't know what happened to that game mode. It seems like it's such an awesome game mode to not have.
Mm-hmm.
Last question of the night. Dan Malvin says, would you rather be bitten by a vampire, werewolf, or zombie?
Vampire.
And why?
Just bit, not consumed, right?
Yeah.
Just bitten.
What do you get in the belly
bitten by a werewolf?
All of them will turn you into what has bitten you. So you'll become either a vampire, a werewolf, or a zombie.
Do I have the ability to turn into a bat and fly away if I'm a vampire?
Yeah, I got to agree with Watts because it's the only one where you keep your kind of...
Well, I
can still be me. I just have to go and feed on people.
Well, also
that doesn't really bother me that much.
You are immortal.
What version of vampire
do I stay
are we
young
talking
as
about
well?
here?
I get to just be me.
Are you talking Anne Rice vampire? Are you talking about?
Yeah, definitely Anne Rice.
There's lots of different types of vampire.
Basically turn into
the one where they have the shiny skin and it's pop culture.
That's Stephanie Meyer.
No, not
that's
one.
Twilight.
Yeah.
Are you talking what is it? Oh my God. The New Zealand comedy, What We Do in the Shadows vampire.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Nerd vampires.
Yeah,
dorky vampires.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I don't know. I'm following. I'm kind of leaning towards vampires, but I'm super into the concept of werewolves. I've always been interested in that concept, and
you don't have control over yourself when you're a werewolf.
Right? Yeah, but I kind of like that concept of just
werewolf.
Maybe there's
I like
a serum.
that Jekyll and Hyde side of life,
Would you lock yourself in a cage at night?
I think there's part of this that's so much of ourselves and society is suppressed and forced into this, conscious thing of we are this, you have to behave this way, you can't do this, you can't say this. The concept of being free as a werewolf to do your nature, your who you're meant to be.
That's a big dog thing that just
you know what? I'm not trying to say.
Who wants to be a murderer? Everybody better hide.
All right, whatever. That's not what I'm saying.
No, I'm not shaming you.
Now the question is, if you're a werewolf and you don't see the moon, will you turn? If you were just in your house at night and it's dude, oh God, I'm a werewolf now. And you don't see anything going on outside, is it just automatic, or do you have to see the moon?
Yeah,
I don't know the lore
behind actual moonlight penetration.
Yeah,
to hit your skin.
My version of this is
some
that
testing has to be done on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking I like the idea of me being a scary night creature, just for.
Vampires get to do that as well. They just don't.
But you know what? Honestly, this whole Twilight thing, the vampires really shouldn't be winning these fights. To be honest with you, I mean, the werewolves
some of them don't.
No, I know, but I mean, the werewolves are badass. They should be winning.
I want to be a vampire.
I'm gonna go vampire.
I'm going werewolf.
I mean, look, we're all gamers. We basically are vampires anyway. We sleep during the day. We stay up during the night.
I'm Team Jacob. You guys are all wrong.
Oh,
I've never seen the movie.
You know what?
I'm sorry, but
I'm gonna go with the zombie. The hell with it.
After a few hours of
zombie?
playing some games, there's like,
Really?
headshots.
Yeah.
Why zombie?
Because everybody's picking everything up. I'm going the hipster choice. We're going zombie, man. I'm gonna be a really refined zombie. I'm gonna have to have like really like freshly sourced, non-GMO type of humans to eat. Brains.
If they've had any gluten, you are.
Yeah, if they've had any gluten, I ain't touching those people. Like it's gonna be very, very hipster zombie.
Free range brains.
Free range brains. That's what I'm talking about.
All right, that's it for Twitter questions.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in this week. I feel like we need to bring up this discussion again at some other point in time after we've done more research. We didn't even bring in Bram Stoker's Dracula at all into this.
It seems like there was a lot of non-research in this question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's have a vampire, werewolf, zombie podcast.
Yeah, because also some werewolves can choose when they turn. It's not always
true. Vampires. There's so many different types of vampires.
And werewolves have different varying abilities and
we didn't even get into the discussion of different types of zombies. I mean, you got your simple Romero zombies. Just
you had the one zombie that was like kind of alive and like.
What's the one from World War Z?
That would be like
Warm Bodies, right?
Yeah, Warm Bodies. Yep.
Yeah.
The ones that are super fast and act like ants.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. It depends entirely type of zombie.
The World War Z movie zombies as opposed to World War Z book zombies.
Well, I don't read books, so
You should read World War Z. Oh my God, it's so good.
Is it good?
So good. So good.
Oh man.
And it's sad they named a movie after the book that was fantastic. That the movie had nothing to do with the book at all.
Really? It had nothing to do with it.
Was very,
There's elements that they kind of lift from it, but it's an entirely different story.
It's like the entire book takes place again all around the world, like different accounts from different areas.
Yeah, it also takes place like 6 years after the zombie war. So it's like this is basically this guy was tasked to go out and write a history of what happened, and it's fascinating.
Cool.
Okay. That sells it. I'm gonna read it.
And it's done in like chunks. So it's like there's individual stories. Yes, the audiobook's fantastic too. Mark Hamill's in it, and Clancy Brown's in it, and God, I think like Alan Alda's in it. Like
get it on Audible?
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
It's like the largest service for it. We're not sponsored by it, but yeah,
we'll be soon.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in to the 73rd episode of DCP. Jack, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure
as well. If you want to find more of me, I'm at Holtzmann_YT on Twitter, and I don't know. Maybe I'll tell that story one day about World of Warcraft.
One day.
No,
One day.
I'm Briar Rabbit. You can find me streaming weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern time over on Twitch. Check out my YouTube channel. Just look up Briar Rabbit or talk to me over on Twitter at the Briar Rabbit.
I'm Tefty Teft. You can talk to me at Teft on Twitter. You can catch my streams, twitch.tv/Tefty Teft. Typically start around 6 p.m. Pacific time most days of the week. And I do have a YouTube channel that has some stream archives.
And I am Miss 5000 Watts. You can find me streaming on twitch.tv/Miss 5000 Watts. I also have a YouTube channel and a Twitter where you can come see all the stuffs. Just search for Miss 5000 Watts.
Sir.
Jack, you.
Oh, all right, cool. I don't know if I you want me to plug stuff or not.
No, you.
I'm Jack. I work for Rooster Teeth. I also work at Achievement Hunter. You can find me on Twitter, Jack_P. I stream on Twitch as much as I can. It's twitch.tv/Jack Pattillo. Also, I'm on YouTube at youtube.com/Jack Pattillo. All my archives there, including a crap load of me building a bunch of Legos, including the Millennium Falcon, which took me 31 hours.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. 31 hours.
I streamed the entire thing. It's actually right over there.
Yeah,
I can see.
I was going to say.
Oh, yeah.
That's impressive.
It's massive.
I've seen pictures of it. They're really detailed.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And also my cat's making an appearance, or my cat makes an appearance. She's right there looking angry at me.
And this has been Pope Bear. You can follow me on Twitter's at Pope Bear. Make sure to follow the podcast at Destiny Compod. We talked with people this week about our new Patreon that's starting up, and a lot of you guys wanted to know the link to that. We are really close to setting up the the system for that. So just hold tight. I talked about releasing the link tonight, but that was premature. I think we have a little bit more work to do. We want to make sure when it comes out, it comes out right. So thank you very much for everybody who reached out to us and was interested in supporting us through Patreon. I really appreciate that. We have an amazing production crew, and being able to pay them for the first time instead of them just doing pro bono work is great. So thank you very much. And they'll follow us on Twitter at DestinyCompod to find out more information on how you can support us. And thank you very much.
Cool. We'll see you all later. Thank you for tuning in.
Bye. Bye.
All right, Jack, you can stop recording.